a fabulous fabric from the land of the five rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
We back. Man, y'all already know what time it is.
Oh, you didn't know?
50-50.
Welcome to the 50-50 Show with PharoahNFL and the Severe Raider, the realest show for Raider Nation.
The perpetuation of the greatness of the Raiders to take a professional football team and give it a distinct characteristic that's different from all others.
Make sure to clock in, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
Man, we back. We are back for another edition of the 50-50 Show. Y'all already know what time it is, man. Hey, man. We got some things to talk about today, man, and some I want to say news breaking stuff, but obviously we were kind of right before the show. We seen that or we preparing for the show was Henry Ruggs.
Yeah,
first time hearing from Henry Ruggs. You know what I mean? Obviously, fan favorite. Tragic incident that happened a few years back. We all know what happened, but we hear from him for the first time since he went to prison. So that's going to be interesting. We'll get into that. Obviously, the Raiders pretty much conclude mini camp. It's now going to be a long drought before the football. If you're a fanatic, it's going to be like what, a month or so, month and a half, and then until training camp.
Like 6 weeks.
Yeah, 6 weeks? Oh, okay.
I think something like that.
Yeah, man. And man, and shout out to my guy Mint Beats, man. If y'all hear the smooth beat in the background, my God, man, bless the channel with a
sure.
smooth
Okay.
beat, man. So hey, you know me, I had to tap in with my guy, man. So appreciate him. I'm blessing the channel with a beat. And hit him up too as well, man. If y'all interested in getting any type of beats from my guy Mint Beats, man. The guy is a producer, man. So you want to reach out to him for the latest and greatest with him. But yeah, man, let's get into it, man. Obviously, we're gonna get into with mini camp wrapping up, the off season, all that good stuff. We're gonna get into all of that, and then obviously who we thought stood out, what we're hearing, guys that are like killing it. We talked about it a little bit here and there, but we're gonna get into it nitty gritty of all the players that are and some of our concerns too as well. And then we didn't get a chance because it happened like between the last time we went live. Jermaine Pratt, he gets signed at linebacker, which I feel like, hey, right now it tells. Remember, we said that before the show. Like we're like, and I was like, Jermaine Pratt would be the guy to keep an eye on because where our linebacker room is set up, he's for sure a guy that the Raiders need to sign. And lo and behold, the Raiders went ahead and they signed him. So we'll get into that. But it's funny though, because I was even saying that like every signing right now from here on out will tell us a lot about what the Raiders think about their roster. Because obviously the whole offseason, the free agency from the draft, mini camp is over. Now they're like, all right, we need to make some adjustments because what we seen in mini camp, it didn't work out. And I obviously seen the linebacker room at mini camp. We're like, you know what? Jermaine Pratt is up there. He had like 143 tackles. I know that's like not the biggest gauge of a linebacker being successful on the football field nowadays, obviously with all the analytics and the PFF grades, but he was productive for the Bengals. So we'll get into that conversation, how big a move that was. But hey, man, we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to click in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Man, Severe, man, what's going on, bro?
Oh man, just like you said, man, preparing for this long drought between mini camp and training camp. Still some transactions out there that have yet to be made that we kind of expected to be made sooner. After we'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. And then, hey, I got my son. My son's in youth football, man. So that's kicking into high gear, man. So just getting ready for that. Gearing up for their season, man. They should be getting pads like early July. So they about to start clacking out there.
And we gotta salute to my guy Raider Smoke, man. He starts off the show right, man. What a super chat, man. Obviously, we try to get to every comment as much as we can, but obviously, we're gonna prioritize anybody that supports the show. My guy Smoke consistently does. He says, "Yes, sir. What's up, fellas? Late night crew checking in." Hey, man. Exactly, man. He got the lingo right and everything, man.
Yes, sir.
Man, my guy Smoke, man, in the building, man. The golf champ, the Tiger Woods, man.
Man, out there killing with the fam. Hey, man, look, hey, he a Gold Glover too, man. He got the little ones out there too, man. Throwing hands, man. The little ones throwing hands too, man. So they look clean too. Hey, the little ones look clean too. I ain't gonna hold you. They looking clean, man. So
that's dope, man.
And you always supporting the show. That's the only way we can afford these mint beats, man. If it wasn't for Raider Smoke, we can't afford these mint beats, man. So
Nah, man, my guy Smoke, man, appreciate you coming through. And we got everybody pulling up today, man. We got Rick Rock in the building, man, pulling up, man. We appreciate you. Salute to the 50-50 Show podcast, Brother Pharaoh, obviously Severe Raider, Robert Pena, my guy, man. It's been a minute, man. Appreciate you coming through, my guy. He just says Raiders. Appreciate you. Hey, we got Yaya Hatamaki in the building, man. Simply says salute Severe and Pharaoh in the chat.
Yaya, stay safe. I think I remember Yaya saying, I think he said he was from Oman. I think if I recall correctly, I could be wrong in that. Correct me if I'm wrong in that, Yaya, but be safe, man, over there, because that's like right across the water is Iran, I want to say. So be safe, man. Be safe.
It is crazy, man. Just seeing us on the internet, obviously social media, the news and stuff like that. It's wild, man. The world it's a crazy place. Crazy place.
Facts.
Rosetown in the building, man. My guy pulling up, man. Appreciate you coming through. We got Space Beast. See, hey man, I gotta correct myself. You know what I mean? Jack highlight. Hey, look, man. Look, just give it some time. It's the off season. We'll make some updates. We'll tweak some things. You know what I mean? We're gonna update the intros. I was actually waiting for someone to clown the intro. You know what I mean? But
yeah, they ain't said. I'm surprised, man.
It's been a minute. People kind of been used to our intro, so they haven't said that. The Space Beast, you know, he's not gonna let nothing slide.
Exactly.
He's not gonna let this slide, man.
That's how you know ain't no news. Ain't no news when they started looking at the intro. It's like,
hey man, Mint Beats, look him up, man. Look up Mint Beats on Instagram. I believe I think he has YouTube as well, but for sure Instagram, hit him up, man. If you want some clean beats.
right.
This man, y'all funny, bro. Man, we got everybody pulling up. Oh man, we got John Jones fans in the building. Okay, that's cool. That's what's up. We got US UFC fans. Okay. Smoke says Lil Severe putting in that work.
Oh yeah,
man.
He is, man. He is. He working hard,
yes, sir. But yeah, let's not waste any time, man. Just to get into the off season, man. I think we can now like look back at it and say, we can probably get in I want to say this is the perfect time to give a grade to the off season, obviously, because like training camp is still underway. It's still upon us. Like it's still coming up.
Yeah.
But we could take a moment. Free agency, the draft, mini camps. We've been hearing from mini camps. Do you feel like this has been a successful off season so far for Spytek and Pete Carroll, the new regime?
I mean, I think it's been as successful as it could be considering the circumstances. I mean, they got hired. They basically immediately had to hit the ground running. We brought in Spytek. We brought in Pete Carroll after, for some people it was a surprise that we got rid of Antonio Pierce. For some people it wasn't. I think for most people it was a surprise that we got rid of Tom Telesco. So we got both these guys taking over. It was a little bit of a drawn out search, especially for the head coaching position. But then we finally landed on our guy, and then the draft was right around the corner, so they had to get all that stuff ready. And in those situations, you kind of gotta rely on the people in the building, rely on the scouting work they've been doing over the past several months. And all things considered, I think they had after having what most would have thought was kind of a underwhelming free agency class. I think they had a solid draft class, and they've put together for all intents and purposes a pretty successful camp and OTA so far. I think they've had a lot of participation. They've got some surprise contributions for some people maybe we didn't think were going to contribute, and I think most importantly is that they added a legitimate NFL quarterback, and I think that was like kind of top of the list. And that was, they identified, they saw the reason why the last guys got fired, and they immediately corrected that decision.
See, the thing is, this offseason is going to really depend on how this draft class looks, because we weren't active in free agency. I'll you know what? I'll take that back. I think we can also judge it by the Geno Smith move too. If Geno Smith is a solid to good quarterback for the Raiders, that's a big win. And then if you look at the draft class, now you combine it with the draft class, if we get a running back in the first round and he's lights out with Ashton Genty, that's a win. That's a win with Chip Kelly, because you know Chip Kelly gonna figure out a way to creatively run that football, and you give him a talented running back, and then we got one of the best running games in the NFL. That's a win. Then a Jack Besh adds another a nice piece to the offense if he's productive in any way, or even throw in Dante Thornton, who's been a favorite right now that we've been hearing from the mini camps, from the players. Now you got Max Crosby calling out his name. You got JPJ calling out his name. You got like the beat writers are talking about like Dante Thornton making plays left and right. He's starting with the ones. 6'5", 4.3 speed.
Yeah.
Like there's only been a few players that have that that size, weight, speed, you know, that whole dynamic of like being 6'5" and running a 4.3. You know, that list is pretty short. You got the Calvin Johnsons, you got the DK Metcalfs, and now you can add, you know, Dante Thornton to that list. Does that mean that he's going to be like an all-time receiver? No, I mean, we'll see, man. I wasn't expecting him to be this involved with the first team to begin with, but I guess we'll see how that lasts in training camp. Especially training camp is going to be like, I think that's going to determine that, in my eyes, like, all right, is it for real or not?
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think a guy like Dante Thornton, once we get to training camp and start getting a little bit more physical, obviously preseason, then we can get, I think we'll get an idea of like, you know, if he's going to start on the outside across, because, you know, Trey Tucker is also playing well. It seems like we're hearing a lot of good things from Trey Tucker as well. That's another guy that we kind of wrote off and like, yeah, Trey Tucker, he's replaceable, smallish receiver. You know, but it is his third year. You know, you give Chip Kelly. You know, I think a sign of a good offensive coordinator is we say this all the time, is kind of capitalizing on a player's strength. And if you think about the strength of some of these players, you got Trey Tucker, who's a speedy guy. We haven't really kind of used his speed that much. We haven't like, and then but you give him Geno Smith, an accurate deep ball thrower.
Yeah.
You know, who's played with small, deep threats, Tyler Lockett. Yeah. So maybe there might be something there if they get some, you know, man, you know what? Corner my eye. I seen something. See my mods. Where y'all at, man? Where my mods at? Let me.
Oh, you sleep. We were.
So yeah, I know, Frax. So you know what we do here on this channel? This is what we do. I'm not even gonna say nothing.
Yeah. I get sniped.
Whew.
Yeah, with the sniper rifles.
Adios.
But yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I think it's all in all, you know, we've been hearing great things about Pete Carroll. I think we've been hearing great things about John Spytek. We've been hearing great things about Geno Smith, and that was the kind. And know what? Know what's the best thing, right? The absolute best thing. We haven't heard anything about Mark Davis. We have not heard a single word about Mark Davis. Not a Mark Davis coming down to talk to the guy. And like, we haven't heard anything about Mark Davis. Mark Davis is away, and he's letting his football people handle football things. And we've added, man, we made some great additions in the front office, right? To take him from a successful organization in the Eagles, and then taken from a guy that has some success during his time with the Broncos. So I think we've been, not only did we add guys on the field to help us, you know, become better as a football team, but most importantly, we added people in the front office from some of the, you know, best organizations in the NFL to do it. So I think all in all, I mean, we're attacking this thing from both sides, not only from the player standpoint, but from the personnel standpoint as well, or the people that identify the personnel. So I think we're moving in the right direction. And do I have any, you know, outrageous expectations for this upcoming season? My expectations are still tempered, you know, but I think we're building. We're building.
Cautiously optimistic, man. That's gonna be that's gonna be the motto, man. That's the motto until the Raiders prove that, you know, obviously they could be a competitive team this year and maybe, you know, push for a playoff spot and all that. And they're actually considered a playoff contender. I'm going to be cautiously optimistic. I think that's how everybody should go about it. In my opinion, I've said it before, I won't even say no matter the offseason. I mean, just looking at the offseason now, I just think that 2026 is going to be the year.
Yeah.
Meaning that will be the year where I can actually see them competing for a playoff spot. This year, I think Denver got better. I think the Chargers got better. They made some moves. You know, the Chiefs are going to be the Chiefs. AFC's tough. But you know, the Raiders did get better. I'm not saying they didn't get better, but we'll see. Yeah. They can possibly be better than all the teams that I mentioned. Possibly. You know, it's possible, but we have to like that's going to depend on what is the offensive line going to look like.
Yeah.
I got to see that. I want to see what the trenches look like. I want to see what the offensive line is going to look like, how they're going to be blocking for Genty, how they're going to protect for Geno. Yeah. One of the reasons why Geno, you can say last year, had some ugly turnovers at times, because a lot of people like to point to that, like, oh man, Geno's throw some really bad interceptions and he was doing too much. Well, part of the reason why he was doing too much because he wasn't getting protected. Can the Raiders protect him this year? Yeah. That would be big. And part of that, how do you protect Geno? You run the football. If we can run that ball with Genty, and he can be the guy that the Raiders envision at pick number 6, then we got some here. And then the thing is, it's funny though. We got pieces to the puzzle. Like if you're gonna run the football, it would be nice to have a tight end. No, we got 2, possibly. Exactly. But we haven't seen so far just all talk. Like last year we were talking about this, we didn't see it happen for a lot of different reasons. But this year, hopefully Chip Kelly, he'll figure something out and put something together, man. But and I know and I know Severe, you're like the cheap. I would say you of all people would be you would be familiar with Chip Kelly the most, because I know you're a big time UCLA fan. Yeah. But how is it going to translate to the NFL? Like, we don't really know. Like, what is he going to bring to the NFL? Is it going to be the same Chip Kelly that we seen when he first came into the league with the Eagles, and then he coached the Niners for a little bit, for like one season actually. Is this the Chip Kelly that we're going to get last season, where he kind of it seemed like he kind of changed up his whole philosophy from tempo to more play action and running the football in different ways? What are we going to see from Chip Kelly this year?
I mean, one thing you can say about Chip Kelly is he's found ways to have success in multiple different ways. And he's talked about it, ad nauseum. He talked about it when he was at UCLA, talked about it when he was at Ohio State. He talked about it, earlier this year, when reporters asked him, like he fits his scheme around the strength of his players. He doesn't try to fit players into his scheme. And, you see, and people always point to his time with Philadelphia. I think he had like 2 top 10 offenses there. I think they won the NFC East one year he was there. I think they won 10 games another year. Then that third year they fell off. And he kind of, he rubbed players the wrong way. Obviously his time in San Francisco was disastrous. But the people that hate him the most are Deshaun Jackson, right? Deshaun Jackson hates him. Deshaun had his best career year under Chip Kelly. LaShawn McCoy hates him. LaShawn McCoy had his best career year under Chip Kelly. I believe Jeremy Maclin as well had his best career year under Chip Kelly. So all these players that don't like him, they all had career years under Chip Kelly. So obviously the man knows how to coach offense. Now, is he the guy that you want being the leader of your locker room or the steward for your franchise, or the guy making personnel decisions? Probably not. But if he's just focused on offense, that guy is a mad scientist. And we saw that, as talented as Ohio State has been, they have, Ryan Day there, who's technically like a Chip Kelly kind of disciple. They both came from the same school, and they both kind of subscribe to the same sorts of philosophies. Ryan Day can never get over that hump. Chip Kelly gets there, instantly win a national championship. So, man, the guy he seems to have success basically everywhere he goes. So, if anybody can get the best out of these players, I think he can do it. And we've been hearing already, like Michael Mayer's been balling. Brock Bowers has been looking good. Jacoby has been looking good. We've been hearing some nice things about Trey Tucker. We've been hearing some nice things about Dante Thornton. So, like, all these people, he's already starting. And especially with Michael Mayer, who's a guy that we kind of expected to see some big things out of. What is he already doing? Like, he's featuring him in the offseason. Build that confidence up, so he can carry that into the regular season, because there's going to be a time where, we're going to need you. And I don't think we did, a good enough job getting him the ball last year. Obviously, he had the episode early in the season. He was away from the team. But even when he came back, I still think he could have been a more of a contributor, and we didn't feature him. But we see now already Chip Kelly's featuring him. We hear multiple times in practice, like, hey, Michael Mayer got loose for a touchdown. Michael Mayer split the defense for a touchdown. Oh, nice ball from Geno Smith to Michael Mayer. Like, he's being featured a little bit more. So, and that just makes Brock Bowers all the more dangerous, because, the second you start to creep up a little bit, like, okay, well, dang, Michael Mayer's been killing this. Now Brock Bowers gets loose, and, he takes it 50, 55 yards on you. So Chip Kelly's going to find what works best, man. And fortunately, we have a quarterback that is versatile, not only with his ability to deliver the ball as a passer, but his ability to run the ball with his leg. 89 speed. That's all I got. 89 speed. That's all I got to say. So that just offers more dimensions he can add to his offense.
See, the thing is with Michael Mayer, would you say, like, if he has a productive season, would you want to sign him long term, or would you trade him to the highest bidder? Because I'm thinking about it, I'm like, Brock Bowers is obviously going to be prioritized to longer term deal. They just signed Geno Smith, nothing lucrative, but like we still need a number one receiver. I think that would probably be more valuable to offense than signing a Michael Mayer to a longer term deal. And this is what, and I'm just saying this, I'm thinking ahead. I'm thinking like, oh, obviously we know Brock Bowers is going to ball out, right? What happens is you add Michael Mayer to the equation, he balls out. I think his stock goes up. And you want to sell high, you don't want to sell low. And I think a guy like Michael Mayer, we know that there's some talent there. If he could show off that talent this season, then hey, we might be able to get like maybe a third round, maybe his second round pick, possibly. But that's all on if he balls out this season. Meaning that, like, let's say what Michael Mayer, what it looks like for Michael Mayer to ball out in his role, I think would be like 700 yards, 10 touchdowns, like 8 to 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, but
that's balling out, because you got to look at all the other pieces too on offense.
Exactly, because Genty and Brock and Jacoby, possibly Dante, possibly Zach Best, like all those guys. It's a lot more, pieces, or a lot more slices of the pie. You kind of got to divvy out, so the slice is gonna get even smaller. It just depends. It depends on what we're getting. Like, I doubt highly we get a second round pick for him. Like that, he would have to do what Brock did last year and more to get a second round pick. Like, he'd have to go like super crazy, like damn near all pro level crazy, which obviously is not going to happen with Brock here. To get a third, still highly unlikely. I think we're looking at like a compensatory fourth from a team, like at the very end of the fourth round, or like a fifth if he has a good year, just because it would only be the one good year. And then obviously he had the whatever mental health issues he had last year that caused him to step away from the team. Obviously teams are going to that's going to be baked into the cake as well. So there's that little bit of uncertainty. And like I said, just that 1 year of high level production is going to make people a little bit hesitant to give up draft compensation for him. But the Raiders will be smart to sell high if they don't plan on him being like a featured part of the offense. Now, if they plan on, hey, 12 personnel is the foundation of our offense, so we're going to run it with Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers, and these two guys are going to be on the field most of the time, then I think they could do worse than having that tight end duo, because I think they complement each other well. And I think, just in terms of being a well-rounded tight end, I think Michael Mayer is probably the most well-rounded tight end we have, just in terms of his ability to block and be a pass catcher. Obviously, Brock Bowers, his ability as a pass catcher is, off the charts, that, he's like far and away the better player. But, just Michael Mayer's ability to be a blocker and also be a pass threat. I think that, he's just extremely well-rounded, and you don't find guys of that caliber that easily.
I'm looking at like the free agency class next season, because I sometimes a player's value can go up based off like the market. So if there's not a lot of players at that position, then that means like his value is going to go up. Mark Andrews is a free agent. Kelsey is a free agent. He's going to be a KC Chief for life. He's probably going to retire if he's not a Chief. So we'll cancel that out. Dallas Goedert, Isaiah Likely, I think is going to be a Raven. But Ravens like to play defensive players. Do they like to pay offensive players if your name is not Lamar Jackson? I mean, Lamar, they were questioning if Lamar was going to get, remember, it was a minute. Lamar had to wait a little while before he got his contract, and he plays the most important position on a football field, quarterback. So Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews are going to be free agents, but I'm assuming that they're going to pick one out of the two. Maybe Isaiah Likely is going to be the guy that they likely will extend, and Mark Andrews, who had like a serious injury, who hasn't been the same player since his injury, but he has good chemistry with Lamar too. So that's kind of like, but Isaiah's kind of like on a come up. Kyle Pitts, free agent. David Njoku, free agent. Jonas Smith, also free agent, but he's looking to get a deal. Austin Hooper, that's just a journeyman tight end at this point. Noah Fant, talented tight end when he got drafted. Currently with the Seahawks, scheduled to be a free agent. So that's like the class. There's some talented guys. We don't know who. I think a guy like Kyle Pitts could be a franchise. He might get franchised if he balls out with, let's say, Penix. Let's say Penix is like, that's his go-to target. And but what's the issue with Kyle Pitts, man? I've been waiting for this guy to like ball out. I mean, like everybody's like, oh, this is the next Darren Waller as far as his skill set, talented, athletic, 6'5", 6'4" guy, like, has that wideout background, but plays tight end. And like, he went, I think, did he go top 10 in the draft? I think he went top 10.
I think he did. I think he did go top 10.
Just he hasn't turned the corner. I know the quarterback situation hasn't been the best with Atlanta. It's kind of been like a revolving door ever since Matt Ryan, kind of retired. But that being said, I'm telling you, the difference between good and great is good. We'll have to rely on other players for them to be good. But great players are going to be great players no matter what, it seems like. Because look at Brock Bowers. Like, that's what's so crazy about Brock is like, damn, bro, like Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, and you're still giving work out here.
Yeah. This thing about Kyle Pitts, he went 1,000 yards his rookie year. Like I think there's only like 3 tight ends. I want to say 3 tight ends ever to do it their rookie year. And I think it was like Mike Ditka, Kyle Pitts, and Brock Bowers. Like, those are the only 3 tight ends to do it as rookie. So like he went a G that year, and then I think ever since then, it's been multiple issues. I think it's nagging injuries. I think like the changing offense. I think he's had some problems with some drops too. So we'll see what he does this year. He has Michael Penix there now. This is kind of a prove-it year for him. Like, are you going to be the generational guy we thought you were going to be, or are you going to kind of fall off, or have to kind of catch on somewhere else? Because if he doesn't have a big year, I really don't see them bringing him back. So
his rookie year, his quarterback was Matt Ryan, right? And I think after
I believe so.
after his rookie year, it was a different quarterback. Was Matt Ryan still there? I know he
No,
dealt with injuries too.
It's Desmond. I believe after his rookie year, it's like when the Desmond Ritter show started.
Man, we seen a little bit of the Desmond Ritter show low key last season,
exactly
like a game or two, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good,
and that's why it's like you can't really blame, because we be like, oh man, it's like Brock Bowers, he was doing it with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, but like Kyle Pitts had Desmond Ritter, who was behind the depth chart with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. So he's even further behind them. But obviously Brock Bowers is a better player, but you see the level of quarterback. We had terrible quarterback play last year, and his starting quarterback was even behind our bad quarterback. So it was just all bad for him. So so we really don't know what he is. We saw flashes his rookie year. But we really don't know.
Real quick, is the sound working? Can y'all hear us? Says yours went out. Oh, it's back. All right, cool. Yeah, let us know, man. Let us know, man.
Yeah, so it's one of those situations where it's like,
audio all good. All right, for sure.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah, so it's one of those situations where it's like, he as far as bad as the quarterback play that Brock Bowers dealt with, obviously, Desmond Ritter was even behind those two guys, so it's even worse. So he'll get his chance this year. I think Michael Penix is a talented quarterback. I think Kyle Pitts is a talented player, and we'll just kind of see how those two guys are able to mesh and see if he can kind of bounce back.
Polar Sunday said Atlanta won't trade him because they won't get anything. He's getting second team reps at the moment. Damn, who's getting first team? Hold on, let me look at Atlanta. This is obviously
that's
off
crazy.
Topic, but let me see. Atlanta.
Second team reps. That's wild. Yeah, he was getting second team reps. It's
Atlanta Falcons. Let's see. Atlanta.
But But I think we'll be in a lot of 12 personnel this year. And I think that, a lot of the tight ends you were naming, just like thinking about those guys, most of those guys are like receiving threat. Obviously, Kyle Pitts is. Njoku's mostly a receiver. Mark Andrews, he's old as hell, but, he's a little bit more balanced. Travis Kelce, obviously, his days are numbered in the league. Noah Fant was never really a blocker, even going back to Iowa. So like a lot of those guys are like just what Brock Bowers is, but like extremely less versions of that. So we already have.
He's not getting second team reps. Like the only other tight end is Charlie Warner.
Oh yeah.
He's like a 6 year vet at tight end, but yeah, bro, come on, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I got to look into it a little bit further, but I don't see anything on the depth chart that would say. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. But going back to the Raiders, man. We were just talking about Michael Mayer and what are the possibilities for him to be successful in this office. Obviously, if we run the football, two tight end sets is going to be a major factor for the Raiders because we got the personnel for that. And I was just thinking ahead. I'm like, man, if Michael Mayer could just ball out, we can get something in return. But you're saying max, we can get like a 5th round. I think we can get something higher. I can think we like a 3rd. If he balls out, that's max. Like if he balls out, 3rd.
George Pickens went for like a 3rd. We got Geno Smith for a 3rd. I don't think we get no 3rd for. Unless they look. Most teams. Because look, I think we have like Raider fans just in general. Because we've been getting fleeced on trades. We've been getting fleeced on trades for so long that we trying
to fleece everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we traded a 3rd for my guy, the White Tiger. What's my man's name that went to Clemson?
From
Martavis
Pittsburgh.
Bryant.
Martavis Bryant.
Yeah. Then we traded a third for Antonio Brown. Obviously, we got fleeced there. So we thinking like, hey man, third is just going right. But nah, bro. Most teams are smart. They're not about to give up no third. A third is a valuable pick. So I think we're gonna be I think it's gonna be like a fifth, a fourth if we're lucky. So it kind of got to weigh your options there. Is there somebody out there? Like, is that fourth round pick going to be somebody that you think will be better than Michael Mayer? And Michael Mayer's still young. Like we said, like 23 or something like that. And he's still super young. And you feel me? Like, so he's younger than Tyler Shook, who's a rookie.
The thing is like if they my reasoning is this. I know it's like it's probably going to be at this point like. I hear what you're saying. It makes sense. I'm looking at a perspective is like you get a young player that is talented at the tight end position, and you just got done saying that he's you would argue if he's probably the best all around tight end if he can
not best. I say most well rounded.
Well rounded, yeah. See how I try to catch you there. See how I try to catch you there. But all around a good all around tight end. But if he maxes out that ability and shows out like on the receiving end this season, because like I said, if Chip Kelly is who we hope he is at OC, and he utilizes the talent that we have on the roster, and then he kind of like uses a Michael Mayer in a lot of different situations, especially because a lot of people I think this season are going to be honing in on Brock Bowers. So then that's going to leave Michael Mayer a little open or going one-on-one at times. That's going to make Michael Mayer maybe more of like a red zone option. So he might get a lot more touchdowns or a lot of touchdowns because of that. And then he just balls out at the tight end position. You get a guy that's talented, productive, and still on his rookie deal.
Yeah.
So that got to mean something, I'm thinking, like, especially for a team that's like, looking for a piece on offense, especially tight end. But now that I think about it, maybe like third or fourth. I'm thinking third or fourth. That's the range at best. I'm hoping for third.
Very bad. He'd have to go crazy for a third. He'd have to go crazy. He'd have to get 1,000 yards. He'd have to legit get 1,000 yards.
Yeah. Well, or close to it. I'm cool with like if he gets 700 yards, bro. That's a lot.
Oh yeah, for us that's great. But we ain't getting no third round pick for that.
But he gets 700 yards and he gets like what 10 touchdowns?
Still not getting a third round pick. That's tough. I mean, the team would have to be like have to think like he was the missing piece for their offense. You have to be like, man, if we get a tight end like that in our offense, we're set. It have to be one of those situations.
I know the Chargers would trade for him. I know Jim Harbaugh would be like, oh man, that's an old school, like throwback tight end. You know what I mean? Like we got to get him on the roster. Someone's gonna. I'm telling you, someone's gonna. If he balls out. If he doesn't ball out, this obviously this conversation is meaningless. Like he's not going to. We're not going to get anything for him. I mean, if anything, we would hope that we get like a fifth, sixth.
Yeah. I mean. I'm hoping he balls out. I got a bet with Chris from Protect the Shield. So I need to ball out.
What's the bet? What's the bet?
The bet is that he'll get more snaps than Jacorian.
Ooh. Damn. Like starting snaps?
Just snaps. Period.
Just snaps in general?
Yeah.
Right now, Jacorian is the second team.
Yeah.
Damn.
We're running a lot of 12, and it's also the fact that I'm kind of on Jacorian to get hurt like week 6. So that's
an injury. I mean, he's been hurt every year of his career.
Get hurt like week 6. Hey, so
Oh, that's an interesting bet right there.
Yeah.
Like at first I'll be like, Jacorian, but then like there's still like a what if factor of how like Chip Kelly's gonna use Michael Mayer and how the offense is gonna look like, and then we just gotta hope that Michael Mayer is all in this season. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't just disappear out of nowhere.
Exactly. That's the thing. And then, like I said, Jacorian, it really hasn't been seeing any first team reps. So it's been Porter and Stokes. So, where does Jacorian kind of fit into the grand scheme of things there? Eric Stokes ain't been able to stay healthy either. So that's another like wild card there too. So, and then the whole the Jalen Ramsey trade is still out there. Jair Alexander obviously got cut. I think we'll get into that a little bit later. So there's some other variables there. So there's a lot that could go against Jacorian. So
Well, I mean, speaking of offseason pickups or possibilities, we did talk about a possibility last week, and it came to fruition later in the week. Was Jermaine Pratt, linebacker, former linebacker from the Bengals, get signed? What do you think of the move?
I like the move. I like the move. Anything that pushes Tommy Eichenberg further down the depth chart, I'm good with, man. I'm good with it. So I think he instantly becomes our second best linebacker. I think it's him and Landon Roberts. So, I really don't want to see Tommy Eichenberg on the field. I really don't want to see Devin White on the field that much. And I think that bringing in Jermaine Pratt is a guy who's very experienced. He's a team leader. I think he wore the green dot last year. Been pretty productive. So I think that's a good move. He is a star. He's not a world beater. He's not a superstar. He's not be a Pro Bowl guy. But is he a starting NFL caliber linebacker? Yes. Is Devin White or Tommy Eichenberg? Likely not.
Chill Ray says Michael Mayer will be entering the final year of his rookie contract. If we trade him after this year, we're not getting a third.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, because if he balls out this year, next year will be his last year. So it'll be like you got to pay him.
It depends, man. Hey, man, some teams gonna get desperate. I mean, we traded Darren Waller.
Yeah.
For chump change. Well, we could have got a second. To be honest,
we traded Darren Waller for a third.
Not for chump change. Not for chump change. I'm saying we traded Darren Waller for a third round pick.
Yeah. And
he ended up retiring the next year. He eventually retiring. So they, you know what I mean? We won that deal. And then we end up getting a third for Devontae. And literally he didn't stay with the Jets. I'm sure if the Jets knew that he wasn't going to stay past the season, they probably been like, I don't know about it. Let's not make this deal. You know what I mean? So it was a desperate move by them. So I'm just saying, teams make desperate moves all the time. Yeah. So I'm just saying, in a situation where Michael Mayer balls out, and I think we can all agree that Brock Bowers is going to be more of a priority at that time. We could tell like he's going to be the guy. Like we're not going to let him go anywhere. Michael Mayer is going to be one of those guys. Like I feel like I could see him leaving and going to another team. It's just a matter of like, because like are the Raiders going to just put all that money on one position at tight end? I don't know about that. Like,
I
don't
think it depends. I don't think Michael Mayer demand a crazy contract though. Like,
I mean, if he's balling, if he's just doing like role player stuff, then yes, I agree. But if he's actually balling, where like it's enough where you be like, maybe if he goes to another team where he's the tight end one, along with other pieces on offense, you could see it like working out a little bit better for him.
Yeah, you can see it. Like, he's gonna go. Well, it depends. I want to say obviously he's gonna go to the team that offers the best deal. He's gonna make the best decision. He's gonna make the decision that's best for him. If he sees Chip Kelly as like a lot to be our offensive coordinator, he's cemented in the system. It's kind of the first time he started having success. I think he might take a deal to stay here rather than go somewhere else where there's kind of more uncertainty. And then like, how are they going to use me? I got to get used to a whole new staff, whole new offense, whole new quarterback. If he's entrenched here, he has a nice role here, we're getting him the ball, I don't see any reason why he would want to leave. Especially, like I said, Chip Kelly, he's going to put players in positions to succeed. So I think that's why I think Michael Mayer is going to be a big beneficiary of that.
You know what? I just, at the end of the day, like we'll see how it shakes out. But going back to, we just went back to the earlier conversation, but we were just talking about Jermaine Pratt, linebacker. Yeah. Hey, I think that's probably going to be the starters. is Jermaine Pratt and Landon Roberts.
Yeah.
You can but Devin White so far has been the starter with Atlanta Roberts. So I think, with Chip Kelly, not Chip Kelly, but I'm talking about Pete Carroll. He always talks about competition.
Yeah.
So there is like a little bit of factor of like, okay, maybe a Devin White balls out and he wins out the competition. But I think we can, just from the outside, we're like, all right, it's probably going to be like Jermaine Pratt and Landon Roberts at linebacker.
Yeah, and the thing about Devin White is that Devin White's issues, like, it kind of goes back to what we said earlier, right? We're like, once training camp shows up, it's kind of where like the rubber meets the road, and where like we separate the wheat from the chaff, as they say. Like Devin White's issues, one of his issues is obviously coverage, but another one of his big issues in the run game is missed tackles, and that's not necessarily going to show up in these mini camps and these OTAs, because in terms of just physical gifts, like Devin White is the most physically gifted linebacker we have, right? He's probably top 7-ish in terms of most just physically gifted people on this team. So he's going to pop out. Like, he's fast as heck. He was a former running back, so he's sideline to sideline. There's not a linebacker on this roster that's going to be faster than him. So he's gonna look good in certain situations, right? It's going to be eye-popping athleticism. But when it comes time to actually start playing real football, that's where I think Devin White is going to kind of fall backwards, and he's going to be overtaken on a depth chart by Jermaine Pratt, especially as Jermaine Pratt starts to learn his defense, coming over from the Bengals.
Well, I think the one thing that might work in Devin White's favor is that he knows this is his last shot, so he's going to go all out. And at the end of the day, competition is going to breed the best, at the end of the day. So we'll see who's going to win out. But I think recent history, the last few years, Jermaine Pratt is kind of the more proven guy right now. So we got to give him a little bit of the edge. But we'll see, man. Hey, the linebacker position is kind of like that one position on the team where we're looking at it like, man, how are we going to answer this? And and we could probably add D tackle now. With Christian Wilkins, who we haven't talked about. He's hurt. Did you see that thing the other day? I think was it on I forgot whose podcast it was on, but they had like a renowned like surgeon break down Christian Wilkins' injury and what it could look like and what it means when he went back into the boot. Typically that means that it's not healing right, and they would immediately get another surgery. But that didn't happen. So it might be a good sign that they're just being cautious. Yeah. And he can be back soon. And the success rate with that injury is pretty high. Like, usually players come back and they're good. I think the example that he used was what's the running back for the Ravens? He had the same injury where it was like a broken basic. The injury is basically a broken bone in the
your
toe.
foot.
Yeah.
For the Ravens back in the day?
No, now. Derrick Henry had the same injury a few years back.
Okay.
And he was able to recover from that. But Christian Wilkins is like 300 plus pounds, so
exactly.
It's a lot of weight, but Derrick Henry's a big guy too, so he was able to recover. But we're hoping that Christian Wilkins is back, because I'm not gonna lie, if he's not in there, then it becomes a situation like, who do we have on the inside? We're going to be relying on a lot of young guys to step up, pretty much.
Well, so
Adam Butler is not. He's a vet, but more of like a guy that, I don't know if you want him to play like Christian Wilkins snaps. See, I like him kind of in the mix in that rotation. Yeah. But then after that, there's some other vets too. The Zach Carter, I think.
Yeah, but
it's I don't know. I know there's gonna be a second year.
Jonah Laulu.
Mm-hmm. Young guy, second year player.
I think he's been looking good. I think they said early in camp he's made some improvements, and Adam Butler's really kind of taking him under his wing and just been kind of showing him the ropes. And then if you hear Landon Roberts talk, like, Adam Butler is one of those guys that he's coaching guys up. He's making guys around him better. He's the one that showed, he showed Landon Roberts some moves that Landon Roberts used against the Raiders in practice, and then like they're like, what? And then Adam Butler's like, man, I taught you that, right? And Landon Roberts gave him his props for that. So Adam, he's been taking these young guys under his wing and really coaching them up. So I think they'll develop. I like what I saw out of Jonah Laulu last year. Right now they've been kind of running. The D tackles have been Leaky Fatu, and then Adam Butler as like 3 tech. So they'll probably go that route, but I think they have enough depth between those guys, Tonka Hemingway and JJ Pegues, to kind of have a solid rotation. And I've been hearing, I wasn't high on Tonka Hemingway, but I've been hearing like some good things about him just in terms of his motor and his relentlessness. So we'll kind of see how that translates. He's a little bit undersized, so we'll kind of see once people are really able to start getting their hands on defensive linemen, like if he still looks the same. But we've been hearing some good things about him, and I've been hearing some pretty good things about JJ Pegues too. So we'll kind of see. Tyree,
They might move him inside, passing downs. I mean, they've been doing that, but this is his all-important third year. This is the year that, players kind of put it all together. His first year in the league, he was hurt. Mm-hmm. He wasn't supposed to play so early. Obviously, he looked like he wasn't supposed to play. Mm-hmm. It showed with his get off.
He still looks that good.
Well, his second year was basically his rookie year. So this year, from what it sounds like, what he's saying during the offseason, he's saying all the right things. It sounds like, he feels a lot more confident, more comfortable. We'll see what that looks like on the football field. But him and I guess another example would be on offense, Trey Tucker, another guy in his third year. Like, those guys are gonna they have a big year, put it that way, to show the team and the fans if they can be productive on each side of the ball. But man, we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Rock, man, you funny, man. Pratt is useful in the red zone linebacker in the zone. You said Pratt is useful in the red zone linebacker in zone. Oh, okay, useful in the red zone linebacker. Okay, yeah, okay, you probably wrote that wrong, but I get what you're saying here, because a lot of people, when the first thing they could think of Jermaine Pratt and the Raiders is when he intercepted Derek Carr. Yeah, which that was like, man.
Yeah, no, the playoff game. And that was the last play of the game where that's the thing about Derek Carr, bro. Like, why would you throw the ball short of the end zone? Stupid stuff like that, bro. Like the last play of the game, of the playoff game, like you're throwing short of the end zone. Like, just, hey, if you're gonna throw it up, bro, and you still got picked. Like, just give you got Darren Waller on the field. Give Darren Waller a chance at a 50-50 ball, right? Just toss it up, give him a chance.
Right.
It's weak stuff like that. But nah, man, it's crazy. The day before we signed, because we were, obviously we did the 50-50 show, but I did the War Room with Chris and 805, and we went through a lot of his film. And he's solid. Like I said, there's some ebbs and flows, some ups and downs, but overall he seemed to have good awareness, pretty solid athlete. There were times where he was aggressive, and there were some times where it's like, come on, man, you kind of gotta shoot the gap a little bit quicker than that, to get in the backfield. But it was solid. Like I said, he's a starting level NFL linebacker, and at this point, we only really have 2 on the roster.
Yeah. No, I like the signing. It was a good signing. I think at corner we haven't seen one, just because, and there's some guys available. Obviously, from the Jair Alexander, we all know Ramsey wants to get traded. I'm not sure if the Raiders would be a good fit. It's just, I think the Raiders are okay. They want to let their room I think they want to play it out. I think they like the young guys that they drafted, the young guys that they picked up. Eric Stokes is one of them, former first-round pick, and obviously Darian Porter they drafted in the 3rd round, and then you got Jacorian Bennett working his way back from injuring his shoulder during the season. He's working back from that injury. He's playing with the 2nd team, but he's a guy that, like, if you look at going into the offseason, like we can all agree, like Jacorian Bennett, I'm pretty sure I thought he was gonna be a starter just because the way he played last season when he was out there. But hey, different team, different regime, different coaching staff. Sometimes means you might not be a good fit, but we'll see. We'll see. But like with his size, Pete Carroll probably wants him more on the inside, but I don't know if Bennett is an inside corner. I think he's more of an outside guy. I think he's been an outside guy in college. He's been an outside guy so far in the NFL. I'm not sure if that's his skill set.
Yeah, I mean, because we kind of saw how he used Devin Witherspoon in Seattle, so kind of similar build between Devin Witherspoon and Jacorian. So you're kind of thinking like Chip prefers having the longer, lankier corners on the outside than Jacorian Bennett, who I think he's listed at 5'11", but I've heard people say he's really like closer to 5'10" than he is 5'11". Like he'd be the most likely candidate to kind of play that role of, you know what, I slide from outside corner to inside corner, kind of depending on the matchup and whatnot. So we'll see how it plays out. I need him not play though to win my bet. So we'll see.
Hey man, if you haven't already, make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Man, we appreciate the support. We're going live on both our channels, so if you haven't subscribed, it's your first time, make sure to go ahead and to both channels and subscribe to both channels, as well as like the video and hit the notification bell so be notified when we drop new content, as well as go live. Man, we appreciate the support. Now let's get it. It's that time, man. It is that time. It is flag on the play.
Yes.
My God, man. We got a couple of things lined up. We actually this week we had a lot of contenders. We had a few contenders, but we had to boil it down to 2, man. We try to keep it at 2, unless like, man, it's 3 heavy flags on the play.
Exactly.
But, you know, we had to include them. But this week, Severe, man, if you want to lead the way, man, what's the first flag on the play?
We'll start with the first. We'll roll with this one. So we all know Tim Tebow, former first-round pick of our former head coach, unfortunately. Considered one of the greatest college football players of all time. He bounced around the league a little bit after Josh was let go from the Broncos. And one of the teams he bounced to was eventually the Patriots. And Tim Tebow was one, even though he didn't play a lot, he was one of the more high-profile players in the league. And with that comes endorsement deals. And he told a very interesting story about Bill Belichick and him not wanting his, potentially second-string quarterback behind Tom Brady to begin the tension with endorsement deals. And it's pretty messed up, too.
As our backup quarterback, because we have our guy. And I was like, really? Who's that? Obviously, it's Tom Brady, guys. I get it. And he said, Timmy, I just want you to do your best at going under the radar. And I said, yes, sir. I totally get what you're saying. I'll do it. We start going through practices. My agent calls me and he says, hey, Timmy, there's a company that's filming a commercial. They want to pay you $1 million. And I was like, why? What's wrong with them? But I was like, dang, that sounds amazing. And he's like, okay, can I tell him yes? And I said, I told Coach, I'm going under the radar. I need to call him. So I hang up the phone with my agent and I call Coach Belichick and I explain the situation. And he says, Timmy, thank you so much for calling, for sharing. I really, really do. I mean it. I appreciate you giving me a call. And Timmy, I would appreciate if you turned it down. And I was like, and I would appreciate if you changed your mind. I'm just kidding. I didn't actually say that to Coach Belichick. And I said, yes, sir. And I called my agent back and I said, I'm sorry, but you got to tell him we're going to turn it down. But why would I do that? Because, man, if it gave me 1% chance to live out something that I'm so passionate about, it would be worth it to me. So, yes, for a game, to make a team, I would be willing to suffer things.
So he ends up getting cut.
Yeah, like a week later.
A week later, a few weeks later or whatever. That's wild, man. That is crazy. Bill Belichick is ruthless.
Bro,
Ruthless. If you know that you're gonna cut him, why would you tell him not to do that commercial? Like that, what changed within a week? Like, did he just do something that, you know what, like, this dude's not that good? You know what I mean? Like, which the NFL felt like, you know, it's funny. Tim Tebow probably would have been more of a player in today's NFL than like you know what Tim Tebow could have been? He could have been what the guy that's out there with the Saints.
Taysom Hill?
Yeah, Taysom Hill type.
Yeah. I don't think
as a quarterback, no. Hell no.
As a quarterback, no. Yeah, but kind of like a weapon. I don't know how big Tim Tebow is, like how tall he is, how much he weighs. Because Taysom Hill, I think Taysom is built pretty sturdily. He ain't like the tallest guy, but I think he's pretty jacked.
Well, Tim Tebow he was big too, man.
He wasn't small, but I don't remember because Taysom Hill is
maybe not. He's probably not as tall as Taysom Hill, but like I'm sure like he weighed like at least 200 something pounds. Let me look it up. Let me look up Tim Tebow's playing weight.
Because remember when Urban Meyer came back, he tried to put Tim Tebow at tight end, and then like he got cut pretty quickly thereafter. But
I think he was like 230. 220.
Was he that big?
Tim Tebow playing weights. Let's see. If y'all, make sure to click in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button here. Let's see. We got 6'3", 236 pounds.
Oh, so he's okay. Yeah, that's smooth. Yeah. That's perfect size. That's perfect size for tight end. Perfect size for tight end.
He's also known for playing at a weight of 245 and 249 pounds in different seasons. I'm sure like that's probably when he tried to play tight end.
Possibly.
His weight has varied slightly throughout his career with a poor 249 pounds when playing for the New York Jets. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I remember. Yeah, the Jags. I mean, Urban Meyer tried to do it, and it obviously it failed. It was a tremendous failure. But yeah. But then he's bigger than Taysom Hill. Then So I remember I looked up Taysom Hill. He wasn't as big as I thought. I thought Taysom Hill was like 6'4", like 260 or something like that. Like I looked it up. He wasn't that. I don't remember what he was, but yeah, Tim Tebow could have did it. But the only thing is, like, would he have been willing to do it? That's the thing. Like, especially early in his career. Because I think he got asked before, and he turned it down.
Yeah,
and
because he wanted to play quarterback.
He wanted to play quarterback. So it's like, could he have done it? Yeah, but like the willingness to do it, would that have been there? And he'd have to be in like a situation. He'd have to go to a team like where there's an entrenched starter, where it's like, yo, bro, I ain't going nowhere. You already know I ain't going nowhere. Yeah. Kind of like Taysom Hill with the Saints, right? It was Drew Brees. You already know, bro. Look, I'm Drew Brees. My game is going to last. I'm not no runner. I'm just a very accurate, precise passer. I'm going to be playing for a long time. So if you ever hope to play quarterback for this team, that hope is gone. So you can make this switch, or you can find employment elsewhere. So, it's one of those situations.
Bruh, hey, man, flag on the play on Bill Belichick for not letting Tim Tebow get in that commercial for $1 million.
Yeah, man, that was
for $1 million, man, and you cut him right after that. That got to be ruthless, man. Bill Belichick is on the ruthless list. He seemed like it. He got the face for it too. Yeah, he looked like he'll do something low key. I know like the players and some of the media were like, oh man, Bill Belichick is pretty cool and da 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 da. But you could tell like like that was like Tim Tebow. He was smiling, but I'm sure like behind closed doors, he's like,
$1 million, bro.
What the malarkey? Like because he probably don't cuss.
He for sure don't cuss.
Like what is going on? This guy. Man,
what the heck, Keontae?
Man,
that's
but flag on the play on Bill Belichick, man. That deserves a flag for sure. But what's the second flag on the play this week, Severe?
So the second flag on the play is I talked a little bit about owners and about a certain owner, our owner. You ain't heard nothing about him, and that's kind of how we like it here, right? We don't hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. That's kind of how we want it, right? Hey, you go off and do your thing. But unfortunately, the owner for the Colts, Jim Irsay, he passed, and recently his daughter was named the owner of the team, and she's taken a very different approach, a very hands-on approach, and I see it as a tremendous flag.
Flag on a play. She might be in the running as the worst owner if she follows through on this, and I'm sure it's not just going to be this.
Exactly.
This is just one of the many little things like, oh, this is a good idea. Let's do this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's and what it is that she inherited the team. Her and her brothers and sisters. I don't know if it's all girls.
I don't remember.
All sisters. I don't. I know the owner's kids basically inherited the team, and they're all grown pretty much. But yeah, man, that's crazy. The fact that you're gonna be listening in to the the calls during the game, like the coaches are under pressure. Just overall, they're under pressure. That's the name of the game. Coaches are going to be under pressure to win games, but now you're putting pressure on them to. They can't even say whatever they want to say in those obviously highly competitive moments, and now they're going to be judged not by the results. Now they're going to be judged on, how you worded that, how you spoke to the assistant there. How did you, it's just going to be, I don't know, man. It don't sound right. It sounds like micromanaging at its finest, but it's just doing too much.
By somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about. So to add a little more detail, she's been seen on the sidelines with like a headset and a clipboard, and she's like listening in the calls, and because she says basically she's saying she wants to learn the game that to help her make football decisions, which is not what you want to hear from your owner, right? You don't want to hear like, man, I'm really trying to learn this football thing, so I know who to hire and who to fire. I know who's BSing me. Like, no, that's not what you don't. That's what you don't want to do. You want to hire football people to make those decisions for you. That way, because the very people you're learning from about football, well, instead of learning it, just let them make the decisions. Like, right? Like that. Right. That would make the most sense. So, I mean, it's a flag, man. I just see this thing ending disastrously.
Well, look, I wanna put this picture. Y'all let me know, man, how it's gonna end, man. Just look at the expression on her face, like
that's
wild. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't look right. It doesn't seem right. It just seems like
wild.
It's just drama, dysfunction. But, as a Raider fan, I'm glad that it's happening somewhere else outside of the Raiders facility. Like, it's not happening. Like, the Colts seem like they're going to have a lot of issues moving forward. But, you never know. It might work. I don't know. Who knows? But it just don't seem right, just from the outside looking in. And I'm just glad it's not the Raiders.
She looked like she ready to snitch on somebody right there. Like she already got somebody lined up. She about to, and she the owner. You feel me? Like she looked like she ready to snitch on somebody, and she's the owner. Like she looking for the manager of the NFL. Like who is the manager of the NFL to call?
It's like, what did he say? What was that again? Okay, well, noted. She's it's like I said, it's not looking too fan for Colts fan. We got any Colts fans watching it, man? Man, I don't want to say I could relate, but as a Raider fan, we've seen all types of dysfunction, but this one right here. Well, you know what? Warren Sapp did have that story in preseason where, Al, he said that Al Davis called in and changed the defense, made a defensive call or whatever.
He called Al Davis.
Oh, he called Al Davis.
He called Al Davis because Rob Ryan, I think that Rob Ryan's trying to run like a 3-4. Aaron Warren's like, what? Like, nah, bro. No. No, that's one story. That's one story. But he said there was a story where he called in to make a play call. Oh dang, I don't remember that.
It was like preseason. It was a preseason.
Oh dang. Oh, that's
What's
preseason? But that's still bad.
But if it happened in preseason.
No, but there's
if it happened in preseason, you know what I mean? If it happened in preseason, what that mean? What does that mean for the regular season? If the owner's calling in preseason, that means he's calling in the regular season.
No, there's a story. Matter of fact, Jason Campbell, or did it Jason Campbell tell it or Hugh Jackson tell it? But it was when Jason Campbell was a quarterback, and Al Davis called down. He's like, bro, he wanted who? I don't remember who the receiver was. He wanted somebody to run a 9 route, and basically I forgot what defense the other team was running. They're like, yo, bro, against this defense, that's not the call you want to make. Was it Hayward Bay? But basically, it was like against this with this offense and with this defense, you don't want to. That's not a route you want to go to. He's like, yo, look, we want him to run this streak, and I want you to get him the ball. And they were like, all right, man, whatever. And Jason Campbell, they did it, and Jason Campbell was able to thread the needle, and it ended up being a touchdown. And I know the coaches was like, damn. Was like,
this is never gonna end now. Ever. It's never gonna end. Because Al probably gonna bring up, like, you remember that time I made him cut? That's wild, man. That's crazy, man. And that's the thing too, those are conversations I would love to have, is like what were the Raiders like people in the building, getting players or anybody that was in the building at that time with Al Davis, or just, and how things were done day to day, and how the stories that happen behind the scenes, because there's a lot of stories that people do not know about that never make it out. We hear some of the dysfunction, but there's dysfunction that happens in every football team, a lot of football teams.
Yeah.
And a lot with, obviously with the Raiders.
Yeah.
But that's.
Now, if you guys haven't seen it, Chris from Protect the Shield, he did an interview with Tim Robertson, who was a linebacker on the team. He told some pretty crazy stories about Al Davis and just his interactions with players, and it was shocking but not surprising. Just put it that way. Yeah, man. Hey, man, shout out to Chris from Protect the Shield, man. Had dope interviews. Definitely check him out. If you haven't already, make sure to click in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We appreciate everybody coming through. But yeah, man, that wraps up Flag. I'm gonna play some, I guess, contenders that didn't make it, Yeah. We'll I think what was it? Was it? We always find a way to talk about him, because he always finds a way to talk about the Raiders, and that's Davante Adams. Yeah. He was
and I think it wasn't that this was last week. We talked about it a little bit, but I think Max Crosby recently in a podcast, he spoke about the moment that, Davante was kind of questioning or basically not all in, is when basically Derek Carr got traded. He said he kind of felt that, he's just what are we doing now? Pretty much because, obviously he came to the Raiders because of Derek Carr. Now you get rid of him. So what am I here for?
Exactly.
But I just think it's weird that he's still talking about the Raiders, and he's just making comments I finally get to choose my team, but you chose the Raiders. You chose the Jets. Now, okay, as a free agent, you get to choose. Okay, say that, but like you literally chose the teams that you traded for.
Exactly.
You wanted to play with your best friend. It didn't work out.
Exactly.
You wanted to play with your quarterback that you played with all the years with Green Bay, now with the Jets. Didn't work out.
It's his quarterback.
Just a lot of excuses, man. A lot of excuses. Yeah, man. Oh, Chill Ray, man. Shout out to you. You said it just win podcast. Yeah, man. Salute. Yeah, it's a good podcast, man. Definitely check that out. I think that's with the beat writers to Sean Reed and obviously Ted. He covers the NFL and breaks down film, so it's a good combination there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, let's move it along, man. That wraps up flag on a play. We had some other ones too. Angel Reese calling herself the next coming of Michael Jordan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but that's definitely a flag on a play contender.
Michael Jordan, the baseball player.
Oh, yeah. No. Actually, the flag for her was. I think she gets a lot of hate. You know what I'm saying, for whatever reason. But I will say though, like we didn't talk about it for flag on a play, but I guess there's a certain group on social media that like makes a bet that she misses her first shot, and they have like a 70% win rate because she's literally missing her first shot. So
I think they got 7 in a row at one point. Something like that.
And then she trademarks me rebounds or something like that. I guess like basically
I'm me bound. So I think people were calling that, they were using that to roast her. So which is smart. Which is smart. Like, hey, it's like when 50 Cent trademarked G Unit. Like, hey, it's smart. That's smart business. Now you can't officially use it. Every time you use it, I get paid. So call me that all you want to. So that was smart. But the other thing I think you said she filed a cease and desist against those people.
Earlier when we talked about it.
Against the betting sites.
Yeah. So if you go to their social media page, like all the clips of them reacting to basically them like, come on, like they're basically like, come on, man. It's funny though. It's hella funny because you can tell they're hella into it. She takes the first shot and he misses. The thing is though, at the end of the day, like she's missing the shot though. You know what I'm saying?
Cashing in, bro. Passion. Don't get mad at they hustle. Don't get mad at their hustle. Hey, look, if they came up on a hustle. Hey, don't hate the play, hate the game. And you're the one shooting the shots. Just make the shots, and then you'll cost them money. You can literally directly hurt these people. Just make your first shot.
Right. So now they can't bet. Now they can't bet because they took that option out. I guess I don't know what it is, but yeah, man, we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to click and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Okay, do we got a Charger fan right now harassing?
Yeah, that's Piano, man. He goes by like 5 different names. He's in here. He's a Raiders fan, bro. He's spent more time in Raiders chats than ain't no Chargers chat. So obviously he got nowhere to go. He homeless.
No, it's not even that. I think it's somebody else. It's LT. LT's in here.
Oh, we got another one.
We got, hey man, Charger fans, they got nowhere to go. That's the thing though. They have nowhere to go. They can't. They obviously in LA, but when the Raiders are in town, they got nowhere to go. Nice. But obviously, I don't know, man. But you know what? I'll say this: going to a Raider Charger game, that was the most Charger fans I've ever seen. I was just like, damn, like y'all, okay, y'all have some fans, like a little bit, you know what I mean? Yeah, just a little bit. But yeah, man, that wraps up like flag on a play this week. If you guys have any flags on a play, worthy things that newsworthy things to bring up during the show, hey, if it's a video, if it's a sound bite, if it's a story, you can send it to either me or Severe on social media, either Twitter or on IG, obviously the Severe Raider, and obviously myself, PharoahNFL, and we'll shout you out as well. We'll shout you out and we'll let you know, like, hey man, brought to you by so-and-so. You know what I mean? We'll shout you out, man. So we appreciate everybody supporting the show. So that's another way to support is also like, hey, letting us know, hey, this is flag on a play, and then we'll look into it and hopefully we'll make it part of the show. Let's go to notable quotables. This is where we play quotes that we find interesting, and then we react to them, and obviously we talk about them. So the first quote, Severe, if you want to get an intro.
Yeah, the first quote, man, I think it's kind of what everybody came to see. Former first round pick, wide receiver out of Alabama, Henry Ruggs, obviously tragic incident, where he took the life of the young woman and her dog, and subsequently was sent to jail for it. I think he was doing he had a work release situation where he was able to do some public speaking event, and this is his first public comment since that incident.
Let me go ahead and pull this up. My bad, man. Henry Ruggs. So I know a lot of people were talking about Henry Ruggs earlier, and they were asking is he back. He was asked though. He was asked if he'd be open to coming and playing with the Raiders, and he said, "Why not?" I'm sure, obviously Mark Davis is close with them. There are still people in the organization that's close with them. Yeah. Henry Ruggs was not a bad guy. It's just he did a bad thing, bad situation all the way around. Yeah. So I don't think it's gonna happen, but you never know, man. He's keeping the door open, obviously. He's obviously. But I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip, and we'll see what he has to say in his first. Literally, I think this is the first time we've heard from him since he went into prison. I mean, we haven't heard from him since that whole incident, and that's exactly. When that incident happened and we didn't hear nothing from him, it was just like the news, maybe the lawyers were talking and some of the teammates, but we didn't hear from Henry Ruggs. So let's see what he has to say.
Running away from everything. One that I wish I can turn back the hands of time. I would love for them to meet the real Henry Ruggs and not the one that was escaping from something. I sincerely apologize for not only being a part of that situation, but the fact that, not to take a shot at you, but the fact that my face is always in the news. My face is always in the newspaper, so they have to constantly be reminded of the situation, be reminded of me, and see, those memories have to continue to rise because of all of the fan base and notoriety that I have, which I never asked for, I never liked. And, so I would just tell them that like I said, I deeply apologize for just being a part of that, and I wish that they could meet the real Henry Ruggs and not one who was just running away from everything.
Man.
Yeah.
Like I said, man, tough situation. Henry Ruggs obviously talking about what would he have, what would he change from that whole situation, and he kind of talks about obviously, him kind of being remorseful that happened. So
yeah,
I think someone in the chat said this, and is it possible that he's gonna be back out from prison next year?
I think at the earliest he can be let out is next year, which is, and people a lot of people want to I see a lot of people even on that the comment a lot of the tweets out there, a lot of people tweeted out that soundbite. A lot of people posted it on IG and whatnot. I see a lot of people saying he always should be locked up for life and throwing away the key. Actually, Las Vegas has some of the toughest penalties when it comes to vehicular manslaughter when you're under the influence of alcohol. In some states, he would have got off damn near scot-free, or did year or two. So Vegas has some of the strictest penalties. So the sentence he's serving is only as long and lengthy as it is because he's in the state of Nevada. If not for that, he would have served a lot less. Now think about Dante Stallworth had something similar. I think he did a year in prison and he was out.
Yeah.
I think Henry Ruggs has been in for 4 years, I believe, if I recall correctly. I think it's been 4 years. Yeah. So and he's not even eligible until next year. So, and which I'm pretty sure because he's been for as bad as the situation was, as horrible as the decision, he made that night was. Before that, his entire life, he had essentially been a model citizen, never any trouble with the law, never any trouble at school. And even when he got into the NFL, up until that point, never any trouble in the NFL. So I think if he's displaying those same type of characteristics and that same behavior while in prison, obviously, him being even allowed to do this event already shows that it's trending where, hey, you know what, we don't feel you're a danger to society. Like people, and that's and I don't want to get on a soapbox here. This is a football show, not a political show. But people don't understand is that prison is supposed to be mostly about rehabilitation. Some of it is punishment, but it's supposed to be to reform people so they can be put back into society and be productive members of society. It's not 100% punitive. And some people are just looking at it like, oh, he did a bad thing, so he has to go away for the rest of his life. Like, no, because he's not a person you would perceive to be a threat to society upon release. So he should get that second chance. Now, there are some people who are, you may feel are irredeemable. I don't feel Henry Ruggs is one of those people.
Yeah, and I could see him coming out next year, but we'll see. But another part of me is also, just to play devil's advocate, like for the family too, is like, damn, like if this is anybody else, you think they would be coming out this early, this soon? Like since it's Henry Ruggs, do you think it's a situation where his like notoriety as a player, football player, and stuff like that helps him?
People with money get away with it all the time. Yeah. People get paid. You think about, look at Jeffrey Epstein. He's done some of the most heinous things known to man, and he got away with it. You think about, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, done some of the most heinous things and bragged about it, and because he has a lot of political power in Florida, got away with it. So like it's rich people. All right, the amount of crime you were able to commit is almost directly correlated to two things: your race, unfortunately, and how much money you have. Like, if you're the right complexion and you have the right amount of money, you can get away with almost anything.
Yeah, it's I'm looking at chat right now. It's a mixed bag here. It's like, some people are like, yeah, man, they should get a second chance. Some people are saying it's tough to sympathize with a person that killed a person. Yeah, but it's just the reason why I call it a tragedy is because like we all know that like it was an accident that obviously should have been avoided. Like there's no reason, he made a terrible mistake. It wasn't a situation where like someone was going out there to hurt somebody else and things like that. That's why it's like a tragedy, because like now, like, now obviously he's in prison and someone lost their life. So it's just a tough situation all the way around, but we'll see. I know Josh Jacobs recently in his podcast not his podcast, but he was in an interview he had with the Pivot podcast. Henry Ruggs name came up, and he talks about like, hey man, like he believes that, Henry Ruggs might get another shot, and he's already talked to some teams that will be willing to have him come in and try out. He has the talent, but when you're away from football for like 3-4 years, man. I know he's in prison working out, but prison ain't the same as training with an NFL program with NFL equipment and trainers and diet. But Henry Ruggs does have the talent, though. Exactly. Crazy talent, freakish talent,
crazy talent.
We'll see, man. We'll keep an eye on him, obviously. But we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to click in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. But that's not the only notable quotable that we got. Our guy, JPJ, man.
Yes, sir.
Severe, if you want to give the intro to this next clip.
So our franchise center, JPJ, recently he took over. He filled in for our guy Max Crosby. He was he was hosting the Rush podcast, and they touched on many different topics, you know. But one of the things he was asked about was Chip Kelly, and obviously, you know, JPJ is a very, very integral part of this offense, being the center. A lot of times that's one of the leaders, if not the leader, on your offensive line. Also, a lot of guys that's making their protection calls depending on the system. So they kind of got to be in in simpatico with their offensive coordinator. And he had some interesting things to say about Chip Kelly.
Oh, it's been awesome. Chip's been great. He's smart, like very smart. Like he sets the tone of like his knowledge and prowess of offensive football. Like it's like being in church in meetings. It is. That's like the Pope getting up there and talking about offense. Like there's so many little intricacies. Yep, right here.
Yep.
Right here. Right here.
All day.
Okay.
Yep, all day.
You can see the intricacies. Like there's stuff that, like, how do you think of that? Like,
Yeah.
like, okay, when you're faking, like when the running back's faking, run this certain way because the defense is going to think this, and that one little step will get us a touch. Like, how do you think about that stuff? You know? And it just shows how much ball he knows. And he knows every position. Like, he'll be like, Jackson, like, see this step? If you take it just a little bit this way, it's going to make this, make this, make this, make this. And you're just like, whoa, I haven't even seen that. Like, the perspective that he's bringing and the speed and how historic it's been. I mean, I'm still a little pissed he beat the shit out of my Ducks. I'm still a little pissed about that. We'll let him have it for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's so cool to see. And it's like super exciting to run. I mean, like, I feel like we have this like this genius. He's a genius. It's so cool to be around.
Man, I'm not gonna lie.
Found my son.
Oh, it's been awesome. Chip's been.
Let's get out of here. But yeah, man. Hey, that clip, man. That clip right there, that notable quotable by JPJ talking about Chip Kelly, man. That kind of gets me hyped a little bit. Like, this offense might be something that we're kind of underestimating a little bit, like how good it can be, especially with the additions of Geno Smith, who's a big improvement at quarterback. Obviously, we got the running back Ashton Jeanty, number 6 overall. We got the 2 tight ends. We talked about it, but right now, like, I think what it is that, like, last season we try to be optimistic. Like, oh yeah, you know what? We got some pieces, you know, we got Devontae, we got, you know, Jacoby Steele, we got, you know, Brock Bowers, you know, we got all these guys, and then Raiders fell face first. They fell face first, man. Like, they didn't live up to nothing. You know, obviously Devontae ended up getting traded. Yeah. Mayer went MIA. Brock Bowers. He was Brock Bowers. Zamir White wasn't the Zamir White we seen to finish the season before. You know what I mean? The way he finished the year prior, like, and how he played, he didn't play well with all that off-season hype, with all those pictures of him being in tip-top shape, which, you know, we're hearing that he's, you know, kind of lost some weight this offseason. Yeah. Maybe he learned from last offseason. Like, maybe I put in too much muscle. Maybe that's not a good idea for him. But that's neither here or there. My excitement here is Chip Kelly. I think that's probably the biggest. You can argue that's like the biggest X factor right now. If Chip Kelly can be that's one of the best offensive coordinators. He's getting paid like it. He's getting paid like it. If he can be one of the best OCs in the NFL, man, he has some pieces. I'm just right now. I want to see what the offense is going to like with Chip Kelly, but also it's the offensive line for me. You know, because we're hearing that, you know, maybe Colton Miller, will he hold out again? Will they sign him to an extension? You know, because Colton Miller's not there, it makes their whole offensive line look probably the worst in the league. Yeah. Because we don't have answers. But Colton, you put Colton Miller in there, like we can actually project, okay, we got Colton, Mr. Consistent, solid left tackle, good left tackle. Not great, but good, solid to good.
Yeah.
Got JPJ. I got, young talent, young up and coming guy. We all know we can pencil him as a starter at center. Then you got Glaze, who's looking like he's taking a hold of that right tackle spot.
Yeah.
The guard spots is where you're gonna have to project a little bit and be like, okay, if you could just be average.
Yeah.
Or just above average, then we're set. We're set. But what did you think of the audio clip of JPJ talking about Chip Kelly?
Yeah, man, it's basically a lot of stuff I've been saying about Chip, man. Like, Chip is super, super detail oriented. Like, super detail oriented. And he's so detail oriented that, he'll remember a play that he ran a certain way week 2 of the season. And he'll have a counter for that play just because he'll know you will have seen it in film study. And if it's a unique look, he'll know, you know what, you'll recognize this look. And then he'll run the counter to that play, later on, just to fool you, right? It's almost like that. Remember that with, like, Bill Belichick talks about, like, the greatest interception of all time is that Ed Reed play where he kind of act like he was taking away the middle part of the field, and he circled back and made the pick because he knew what Peyton's read was going to be on that play. And he had set it up, way in advance. Like, that's what Chip Kelly does. He sets these things up in advance. And he just knows down to, like, the minutia of how he wants a guy to run a route, the depth of the route, like all this stuff that we think is unimportant. Like a running back being in a effing running back stance. Like, that's pretty important, right? Like,
yeah.
Like all this stuff matters because football is a game of inches. And like sometimes, you can be like, literally the Raiders were with 3 inches away from Tom Brady actually having the ball fully in his other hand and it being called a tuck, and it be calling the tuck rule. Like 3 inches makes the difference right there between us winning and losing that game. So when everything is that tight and that close, all of this stuff matters. And he's a guy that pays attention to all of that stuff. That's all he wants to do. Like, that's part of the reason why he left UCLA. He didn't like recruiting. He didn't really like dealing with the media. All he wants to do is coach offense. And one of the things that kind of reignited his passion is, I think, our quarterback coach. I can't remember if it was offensive coordinator or quarterback's coach. Ironically, for the bowl game against Boise State, they left and they took a job somewhere else. So Chip Kelly actually got back to, like, really hands-on position coaching. And that reignited his passion. And so after we beat Boise State and Ashton Genty in the LA Bowl that year, like that summer, Chip Kelly decided to quit UCLA and take offensive coordinating job at Ohio State so he can get back to doing what he loves to do the most, which is coach offense.
He did interview with the Raiders.
Yeah,
he did interview with the Raiders, which makes you think, like, if Chip Kelly is who we think he could possibly be at our offensive coordinator, then damn, like Antonio Pierce, like that's one mistake that he made was like, come on, bro. Like, I know you couldn't get, your first option who ended up going to the Commanders.
Yeah. It's my first option,
It is what it is. But Chip Kelly was one of the guys that he hired. I mean, one of the guys that he interviewed, but he ended up going with, he who shall not be named, former OC of the Bears and just terrible offensive coordinator last year who got fired. But nah, you know what? Like, I just like, see, that was a great quote because it kind of gives you a little bit insight of, like, okay, how excited the players are on offense. And JPJ, he just talks about the small little details to, like, man, this guy is a genius, this, that, and a third. Now I think, and it makes you forget about Chip Kelly in that, like, no one really questioned him as an offensive mind. It was more so a head coach. Yeah. So he's kind of like in a perfect situation where, like, he just gets to coach the offense. Pete's going to be that all-encompassing leader of the team, and he's going to take those responsibilities. And that was kind of like Josh McDaniels' issues, is the fact that, like, he might not be a great coach, but as an offensive mind or as an offensive coordinator, like he's one of the best. And hey, man, and to think about it too, because I know we talked about this before. Like, if the offense balls out 2-3 years from now, would you consider Chip Kelly for head coach?
No,
because you can see it happening. You can see it happen. You can see it happening.
Honestly, I don't think Chip Kelly wants it. Honestly, I don't think Chip Kelly wants it. I think
he says that, bro. He says it, but I don't know, man.
I don't think Chip Kelly wants it, especially like he's already kind of older already. He got the experience of doing it. Only reason I think I could think of him possibly wanting to do it if it's one of those situations where so to my guy Jack Cannon, but only reason I can think of him possibly wanting to do it if it's like an ego thing where it's like, dang, I kind of was a failure the first time I did it, and I don't want that stain on my legacy as a failed head coach. So I want to make sure I come back and I actually win. But like, if he's getting paid handsomely as he is with us, and he's able to do what he loves, and the team is winning games, and he's with the head coach he respects, which obviously Pete Carroll is somebody that he respects, and once Pete Carroll rides off into the sunset or leaves by other means, I don't want to tell anything out there, voluntary or involuntary out there, but once that happens, once nature takes its course, but nah, that was nah, I don't, but if the Raiders bring in another coach he respects, and maybe that's, hey, and honestly, I think they may be grooming Patrick Graham, and that's not a for sure thing, but I think I think Patrick Graham is more of a possibility than Chip Kelly, if I'm being honest.
Hey, I hope so. I hope so. The only thing is that I would want a. Well, so you're saying, okay, you're saying it's going to be a situation where PG takes over and Chip stays at OC?
I can see that situation playing out.
And then you kind of like you draft the young guy. Go ahead and draft the young guy and just have him develop. Because the one thing I will say though, I do want a little bit
quarterback?
of consistency. Yeah, quarterback. Because Gino's on a 2-3 year deal. Like, best case scenario, he's in my opinion, he's like that bridge QB, solid, managed the game, making enough plays where, he's not hurting the team. But obviously we're going to be relying on Ashton Genty and the pieces that we have on offense. I just hope that, I hope they get a young QB, and that Sellers dude, I'm kind of
Lenora Sellers.
Yeah, he's gaining a little bit steam, but then if he's gaining, hopefully it's not too much.
Yeah,
because that means he's probably gonna go in the top 5, top 10. But but he is kind of like more of a project type player though, a little bit.
Yeah, I want to see what he does. I want to see what he does this year.
Yeah, it's kind of early to say, but he's getting a little bit of hype though. He's getting a little bit of hype. That's a whole different conversation. Nice. But that being said, man, hey, make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We're not done yet. We got what's real, what's not. This is where we say a statement. You let us know if it's real or it's not. Obviously, we react to it as well. Let's go with the first what's real, what's not statement. And this one here is okay, man. This is a little bold. It's a little bold, but we're gonna do it, man. Max Crosby is the Raider player with the most to prove this season. Max Crosby is the Raider player with the most to prove. Is that real or is it not? Let us know in the chat if Max Crosby is the Raider player with the most to prove, real or not.
Yeah. And, for anybody, I'm sure it's been all over the social media, but anybody, PFF came out with their their like players with their top. I think it was top 10 or something like that. Players with the most approved this year, and I think Max Crosby was up there for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say no, but I understand why they picked Max Crosby. I'm gonna say personally no, because the player with the most approved to me is Aston Genty. Bro, you better put up 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns at least. At least that's like bare minimum.
So at least 10. You said at least
1,200 yards rushing. Just 1,200 yards rushing. That's not total yards. 1,200 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns.
Oh, Genty's your guy for most approved.
Yes, because he's supposed to be generational. If you pick a running back, if running back's supposed to be the most translatable position from college to the NFL, you're supposed to be a generational back. You're supposed to be transformative to our offense. Bro, if you only put up 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, it's not it. So, I think he can do it, especially with Chip Kelly. And if our offensive line stays healthy, I think he can do it, but he damn well better.
Yeah. I think it's Chip Kelly. I think the conversation that we're having, we're excited about the offense, but I feel like Chip has to prove that he's going to be able to build an offense in the NFL that can be successful, which he kind of did with the Eagles. The Eagles were super talented. He inherited a really talented team from Andy Reid, and he was able to utilize the talent on the roster. And obviously, they had some of the players had their biggest seasons in the prime of their careers under Chip Kelly. But I'll say Chip. I want to, because Chip is the biggest X factor. If it's another situation where Chip is not the guy, because hey, look, Pete Carroll has gone through his offensive coordinators as far as replacing them and going through different OCs, and that happens a lot sometimes with it's just name of the game, man, with defensive coaches. Yeah. Usually sometimes their assistants goes to another team, or they, even with Jack Del Rio, who's also a defensive guy back in the day, that was his thing. He used to get rid of assistant coaches. You could argue that Musgrave should have stayed. They should have signed him on. We end up going look, if you look at you can't argue with the results. At the end of the day, they end up going with Derek Carr's good friend, his QB coach, which we all know he wasn't that good of offense coordinator. Maybe a solid QB coach, but not. Yeah. Certain position coaches can't be coordinators. Certain coordinators can't be head coaches. Sometimes they're just good at what they're at, and I just think that Chip Kelly.
The next guy? Who was the next head coach to hire that guy? By the way, after he fell with the Raiders, who was the next guy to hire him? I can't remember. Do you remember who it is, Pharaoh? Do you remember?
Josh McDaniels. I think Josh McDaniels might have hired him. Nah, man. That was questionable that he hired him. You're talking about the New England coach right now.
Yeah, Vrabel
ended up hiring him, but that was random. But he I thought he did a really good hiring in hiring McDaniels.
Yes, hell of a good job.
You know what? You can argue that if that was his plan all along to hire McDaniels at OC, then you can see why maybe the Raiders weren't a good fit for him, because he couldn't bring the guys that he wanted.
Facts.
You feel what I'm saying? So it's because I'm sure Tom Brady was like, "What, Vrabel? Oh yeah,
exactly."
Former teammate from afar, had some success at head coach at times. Yeah. But yeah, man, that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, I don't think Max has. I think that's not real. That's not real. Max does not have a lot to prove. I think he has something to prove to himself. He wants to get better. I think I've called him out. I think last year I predicted that he was going to win Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously that didn't happen. We'll see what this year. What it looks like for Max Crosby. Hopefully he stays healthy. Last year he wasn't as healthy as he was as early in his career, but hopefully he kind of takes a more strategic approach to his snap count, because I know he has a high motor, but at the end of the day, like if you're not available, then you're not gonna be able to play it and take advantage of that high motor. So I just think that Max, yes, he has a certain level of something to prove, but I just think, man, guys like Chip Kelly, to me, those are the biggest question mark. Chip Kelly, the offensive line, you could argue the offensive line. Genty's a good one. They did pick him number 6. Like, is he gonna ball out? I mean, he's out here in interviews saying, well, I'm about to get like 1,500 yards, total yards at least, and 10 to 20 touchdowns. I'm like, damn, okay, hey. Yeah. I like the sound of that, man. If he does that first year, man, that's Brock Bowers type impact in his rookie season for a running back.
Yeah, in fact.
You know, so we'll see. But to answer the what's real, what's not statement, it is not, man. Max Crosby doesn't have a lot to prove, bro. Dixon said yes. Crosby has the most proof. Wow.
I mean, I can see why. Like I said, PFF had him on there. I can understand why they have him, just because, you know, like he's revered as one of the top guys in the league. But at one point, I think it was maybe for like 4 days, but at one point he was the highest paid defensive player in the history of the NFL, the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL, until Myles Garrett got his deal, obviously. So when you get that kind of money, like, bro, you've got to lift everybody. You've got to be a guy that raises the level of everybody's play on your defense and be able to turn the defense. You know, Myles Garrett, you know, remember when they had Flacco at quarterback, like he led that team into the playoffs. It was that defense and what Myles Garrett was doing en route to being Defensive Player of the Year. So, like, when you get paid like that, like you gotta be that guy, and you gotta be that closer. And he has on certain occasions, but we think of like how Khalil Mack was like just a dominant force all the time, like all the time. He was closing out games. You know, we remember Max had the safety. I think he had another play like that too, but it's not something you consistently remember. Now, is he one of the best defensive players in the league? Yeah, you know, but like, you know, he got to do it as a defense, as a defensive leader. We need him to kind of set that tone, take the defense to the next level. And we did it for half a year, and that got Antonio Pierce the job. And then the next year,
yeah,
it was a different story. And, you know, this defense wasn't the same. And quite frankly, you know, he wasn't the same. So we kind of need him to, hey, you got to be a superstar.
Well, hey, some people are mentioning, you know, Marty Martin says the money. Obviously, Dixon also mentions the extension. But Max got the bag already. He just got it again. And he proved that he was rightfully paid. I mean, and then he also has the respect of his peers. It's not just PFF just, you know, throwing out random stats. Like, you got Teron Armstead, who recently retired, the left tackle for the Saints all them years. I think he was, as of recently, he was the left tackle for the Dolphins. They asked him, who are 3 guys that you're glad you're never going to have to play against? Yeah. Number 1 was obviously, which surprisingly was Jared Verse. You know, he has a bright future ahead of him. He said Jared Verse is probably going to be a future Defensive Player of the Year guy, like super strong. His bull rush is crazy. Then he goes on to say Myles Garrett, understandable. Myles Garrett is a monster. I mean, he's huge, by the way. Like, this dude's a monster on the edge. And then you got Max Crosby and Hendrickson was the 2 guys that he said were tied at number 3. So he has the respect from a guy that like was a perennial left tackle, top left tackle. You know, he knows what it looks like. He knows what the best look like, or really talented guys look like. And Max was the guy that he mentioned. So for people to say that he has a lot to prove, I don't know, man. It would make more sense if, like, the Raiders just signed some guy and they gave him a huge deal. Or you know, the Raiders gave an extension to a guy that like is often injured or often, hasn't put up, who has the talent but hasn't put up the production. They gave him an extension. But Max is not the guy. Max is a guy year in, year out, probably the most consistent guy on our roster. So I just don't think he has the most to prove. Does he have some level to prove? Yes, but not the most. I just don't agree, man.
Yeah, I mean, you think about what that contract we just gave him, right? Like he's being paid more than guys like T.J. Watt. He was for a brief time being paid more than Myles Garrett. That was shortly correct.
That's just the market, though. That's just the market.
Yeah. But my point is that when you get paid that kind of money, like your play has to correlate to that. Mm-hmm. And so Max he's never been first team All Pro. I think he's been second team twice. I don't think he's ever gotten, or I don't know if he's ever gotten a first place vote for Defensive Player of the Year. Like, so when you're that for a time, the highest paid defensive player of all time, like, bro, you got to show and prove. You got to say, hey, you know what? I'm taking over. And look, if you ask Mask, I'm sure he would say the same thing. It's like, yo, bro, I got to. Right. He wants to be Defensive Player of the Year. He wants to go down as the greatest football player ever. Like, bro, right. Like when you get paid that kind of money, and this team, especially last year, this team was kind of supposed to be a defensive-minded team first, and we kind of failed on that side of the ball. And he's the leader of that unit. It's like, when it comes with expectations. Like there was a time in the league when LeBron James was clearly the best player in the league. But the narrative around LeBron was like, yo, you can't win the big one. Like, oh, so at that point, like LeBron probably had the most to prove legacy-wise, because it's like, okay, how you're this good of a player, well then how come you can't reach the finish line? And so, like, with greatness comes expectation. Like, well, I know Uncle Ben, with great power comes great responsibility. When you're a great player, you have great expectations, and so you have to live up to those expectations. And individually, is Max living up to those expectations for the most part? He's a good individual player. Last year, I mean, he was hurt last year, so he didn't have his best year last year. But but usually when he's healthy, he lives up to those expectations. But like when you're a team leader, you're supposed to be a franchise defensive player, bro. You gotta raise the level of all your guys.
Yeah, but he is living up to it. I don't think we should downplay it. He is living up to it. He's been healthy for most of his career. I mean, like literally, he missed his first game last year. His first game. Yeah. He misses, and Marty, you're talking about his health, but he missed his first game last year.
He's been hurt all the time. He just hasn't missed game.
But he's played. I mean, that's the NFL though. Yeah, everybody's hurt. Everybody plays hurt. Like at some point in the season, like everybody's gonna be banged up. Everybody's gonna be. It's just the name of the game. That they might not be on the injury report, but everybody's gonna be hurt. But I think it's commendable that like Max is just out there for a certain, especially last year was his first time where he missed the game. And like, wasn't there a situation where like it was like some type of fluid that could have caused some type of infection, and he was playing on it, and it was just something crazy, and he still was playing. So I don't know, man. I think Max has, like I said, he has. I'm not gonna say that he doesn't have anything to prove. Yeah. I'm sure he has goals, he has standards, but when you start talking about T.J. Watt, when you start talking about Myles Garrett, like, and why he's not first team All Pro, it's like that's the gold standard. That's like he's with them, like he's in the top 5. He's the top.
He getting paid like them. Huh? Like they've both won Defensive Player of the Year.
Though. But that's the market. When players get extensions, they don't be like they don't be like, oh, give me the number the 5th ranked contract. No, they say, give me the best. I want to be paid like one of the best pass rushers. And then they're and I think pass rushers and any player at that position, they always applaud the deal because that means that they're gonna get a bigger deal when their time comes in. So I just think that it's just the market just setting itself. Like at the end of the day, like Max is a great pass rusher. He's a top 5 player, and he's gonna get paid like that. So when it comes down to when he gets paid for however long, you're kind of downplaying how long it was, but it was only like for a couple weeks, maybe a week, maybe 3 weeks, or a couple weeks that he was the highest paid defensive in football.
Yeah. No, it was like 4 days. Like Myles Garrett immediately. Myles Garrett immediately, but he's number 2 still. So I'm saying when you get paid like that, bro, the people that are there with you, these guys are defensive player of the year or defensive player of the year candidates. Myles Garrett has got one. TJ Watt got one. I think Micah Parsons has one. Like all these dudes have one. Max, where's yours, bro? You ain't got one.
A vote? You talking about a vote for defensive player?
He ain't got the. I don't even think he got a first place vote. He for damn sure ain't got the award. So it's like, bro, I don't want to look. He's one of the most respected defensive players in the league, right?
I don't know, man. I think that's outside of his. I don't think that's outside of his control.
Bro, you control. Look. It just like Angel Reese controls whether or not these people bet on her for missing those first shots. Max Crosby definitely controls whether or not people vote on him for first place in defensive player of the year. At the end of the day, bro, that's on you.
But some of the voters, they're looking at it from perspective, is he playing on a good defense? And for most of his career, he hasn't played on a good defense because a part of playing on a good defense is having talented players around you. So if you look at the Myles Garrett, right? He played on a good defense with the Browns. If you look at maybe, Trent Henderson, right? Or TJ Watt. Yeah. TJ Watt, like Pittsburgh Steelers, they got the Minka Fitzpatricks. They got like, obviously, Pittsburgh Steelers, they have that.
They had Robert Spillane playing linebacker when he won Player of the Year, bro. Even like,
but they still had talented players on the team, though. They had
Cam Hayward, but okay.
Cam Hayward. Who's the other guy on the other side? It was Hightower. You tell him. Mitch Fitzpatrick.
Aaron Donald won it. Aaron Donald won his 3rd year in the league. Name another defensive player on that team.
I don't know. Yeah, but okay, come on, bro. Like you're gonna name a random year. Obviously, Aaron Donald's not a random player. We all can remember Aaron Donald's name. He's one of probably the best defensive player that we've seen in the last 10 years, right?
I can name a guy on that team. I want to say, I think LaMarcus Joyner was on that team.
LaMarcus Joyner, who's the linebacker that played for the Raiders?
Corey Littleton. Exactly. Look how Corey Littleton looked playing behind Aaron Donald. Look like how he playing with. So, bro, when you're that level of player, you make everybody around you look better.
That's true.
That's what's expected of you. When you're taking that much of the salary cap, that means your production and your gravitational pull is supposed to lift the play of everybody around you.
Right.
So that's directly correlates. So how good the defensive play, it's not all on you, but some of that correlates to you. So if you ain't done it, if you ain't doing it like that, then some of that falls on you.
Right.
Like at least have a top defensive line unit. We ain't even had that.
Every team. You're not going to play with all-stars. Every team's going to have role players. I understand that. Yeah. Aaron Donald also played with Jalen Ramsey.
That's not when he won Defensive Player of the Year. But he got Jalen Ramsey and won the Super Bowl. See, like that's the difference. He got Jalen Ramsey and won the Super Bowl.
Who did he play with? I'm actually curious. Who did Aaron Donald? What year did he play? Win Defensive Player of the Year?
His 3rd year. What year was that? That was same year we drafted Mac. So I don't remember.
Aaron Donald, Defensive Player.
He got drafted. He was in the same draft class as Khalil Mack. So was that 2017? 2017?
Damn, he won it 3 times.
He's won 3 times. JJ Watt's won it. And look, JJ Watt the same way, bro. JJ Watt's won it 3 times. You couldn't name a player that played on that defense with JJ Watt. That's why I played.
That's not fair, bro. That's not fair, bro. That's not fair.
What's not fair?
You're naming a great player, and then you're gonna try to like, all right.
But my point is that there aren't. But we're looking at there aren't
great players. Like, who played on the team? Like, obviously we all know who JJ Watt is, but we're not gonna name like every teammate that he had.
Yeah, I don't expect you to name every teammate, but I'm saying like my point is that he didn't play with like no all-star unit or no super other players around him. That guy was the focal point.
Come on, man. I look. What year were you talking about? Because he won 3 times, Aaron Donald. Because you're trying to
like the first time he won is 2017. I think 2017 was the first time, right?
So 2017 is the year that you're picking.
Yeah, that's the first time he won it. Let's go with that year.
All right, so 2017. 2017 Rams. 15, Los Angeles Rams. Let's look at the team roster. Let's see. Let's look at defense. Michael Brockers. Robert Quinn. Ooh, Robert Quinn is nice.
Robert Quinn is good. Robert Quinn
is nice. See, you see what I'm saying? Tremaine Johnson was not a bad corner.
Tremaine Johnson was trash. As soon as he left that team, he was trash. We tried to pay Tremaine Johnson. He was buns when he left.
John Johnson.
He went to Cleveland and was trash.
What was their defensive rank though? I want to know as a defense, like what were they? But Robert Quinn.
Other people you named, Robert Quinn was the only person to go somewhere else and produce.
But I ain't gonna lie though, like Max for the longest time didn't have a Robert Quinn. We just got for half a season or less than half a season, we got a old boy to play productive. We're all excited. Malcolm Kuntz, and then he was out for the year. Then we got Christian Wilkins last year to a big time deal, which kind of like, okay, now we got like a little outside duo going on, but we didn't get to see that to come to fruition because of injuries. So it's like most of Max. My main point with Max is that he hasn't played with.
Max had Unique, didn't he? Yeah, Unique played pretty well.
Unique is nothing compared to Robert Quinn. Come on, bro. Not even close.
As a pass rusher?
Yes. As a pass rusher.
As a pass rusher, I would say he's close. As an all-around player,
come on, bro. Nah, don't do it. Don't do it.
As a pass rusher,
come on, don't do it. Robert Quinn is a way better pass rusher, way better player and pass rusher.
Better player. As a pass rusher, though, Yannick was putting up crazy numbers.
What, like 8 sacks? I mean, it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad.
No. I mean, Yannick had double-digit sacks every year of his career, except the year with us, I want to say. Every other year.
He had at least 8 sacks. 8 sacks.
I thought it was 8. I thought it was double digits.
Nah, he had at least 8 sacks, which is still good. Like, it's still 8 sacks. But at the same time, like, Unique's problem is stopping the run. But he had some other issues too as well. But look, and it's kind of concerning that I don't know why teams like I don't know what his issue is. Like, he just hasn't found a home. Like, he always goes from.
He doesn't play the run at all.
He doesn't play the run at all. But as a pass rusher, let's look at Robert Quinn, bro. Come on, man. We're jumping from anything. But my main point is, this is all my main argument is that I understand that great players need to make players around them better. But at the end of the day, they need talent too. There's role players. There's gonna be room for role players, but there gotta be someone to be Robin or another Batman or another whatever. Like, especially on a D line, like Robert Quinn with Aaron Donald in the middle. I'm sure Aaron Donald like took advantage of whatever opportunities there was when Robert Quinn was doubled. I'm sure Aaron Donald was probably doubled the most part.
It's the opposite. It's the opposite. That's the thing. It's the opposite.
What am I looking at right now? So Robert Quinn. Let's see. 5 sacks, 10 sacks, 19 sacks, 10.5 sacks, 5 sacks, 4 sacks, 8.5 sacks, 6.5, 11.5, 2, 8, 18 with Chicago.
That was Chicago when he led the league, I think, that year. He led the league twice. That other year, and That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, bro. As a pass rusher,
but he's better. He's better.
As an all-around player, like I said, as an all-around player, he's better.
He's better though. Yeah. He's a better pass rusher.
But Yannick in that Gus Bradley defense, that's not Yannick's
come
role.
on, man. All right, bro. I can't even argue on this one. This one. Come on, bro. It's obvious, man. Come on, man.
Okay, look up Yannick's numbers.
Like Max hasn't played with the talent like some of these pass rushers have played with. Like, let's just be honest. We'll be honest. He hasn't played with the amount of talent. It may not be a lot. Like if Kuntz could be that guy, that's what we're so excited about. Kuntz coming to his own a little bit in that short period of time, that second half season, because we're projecting a little bit. We're saying, oh, okay, now you got Max on the other side. You got Kuntz on the other side, and then you got Wilkins on the other side. Now you could be like, okay, now we can have a good defense. And then when you have a good defense, and you got a guy like Max, if he plays great, that's where the accolades come in. That's when you get the Pro Bowls. That's where you get the first team All Pros. Because now people can match with the individual success with the team success. And I don't know. I just think a little bit of it is talent too, just circumstances. Because
that's part of it. That's part of it. But like I said, he has influence on he has some influence on that as well.
Yeah, man. But hey, look, man. Let's move along. We kind of stayed on this a little bit. You said unique. Oh, Chandler Jones.
No, I wouldn't say because Chandler was washed. Chandler was washed. That's not.
He had the great Chandler Jones.
Yeah, Chandler was washed. Chandler was washed at that point.
Yeah, he was not the same. He was not the same player. He was not the same player. Yeah. Big said, I know. I was trying, man. I was like, shit, I gotta see. Let's see who sticks.
That can't be the first name. The first name out your mouth cannot be Michael Brockers. It's like, bro. Yeah, Mark. He had Michael Brockers. Come on, dog. Michael Brockers.
Yeah. I was trying.
Yes.
I was reaching on that one. But let's go to the next. What's for what's not. We out of here, man. Like I said, man, just react to it and let us know if it's real or it's not. The next one, Severe. If you want to give the next one.
Yeah, I'll get the next one. Let me head to it real quick. What's real? What's not? The Raiders tight end duo of Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer will lead the league in receiving. Caveat: 4 tight end duos, so they will have the highest receiving total of any tight end duo in the league.
So I think the only team that I can think of that can,
if we don't trade them for a second round pick.
Funny. I think the only team that I can think that like you can argue be like, oh man, like that's the team that's gonna probably have it is Baltimore with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. Yeah.
Now, I know. Apparently, Cal Pitts is tight end too in Atlanta, so you never know what they're about to do over there.
They got something. They got something brewing over there.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. I just think it's Baltimore. Damn, man. Is that real or is it not? That's tight end duo. You know what? I'm gonna say it's real. Last year I was expecting it last year to happen, but let's. I'm hoping that like, Chip's gonna figure it out on offense, and I think just looking at our receiver room, the way this team is gonna be built, the way they kind of invested in getting the running back and run game, they're gonna probably do a lot of play action. That's what Chip Kelly's been doing as of late. He started with, we all know Chip Kelly from back in the day with that tempo type offense, up-tempo offense. Now it's kind of turned into like diverse run game, play action. So I can see, obviously we got Brock Bowers. Hopefully he's going to use that 2 tight end set. If he's doing that, then I'm going to say it's real. Because then you can use Michael Mayer in the red zone. You can use Michael Mayer as that number 2 tight end. Brock Bowers is going to take a lot of the coverage, or he's going to take a lot of the attention to defense. I think Michael Mayer can take advantage of that. It's just about like the opportunity and a quarterback being accurate, which we had an issue with the last few years. So
yeah. I'm gonna say real. I just feel it because I just think there's gonna be some team that surprises. Like what Chicago has with Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland. I think Trey McBride. I don't even know who his backup is, but Trey McBride, I think he could be due for a big season. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you already said Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. I think they've been wanting. People in Baltimore have been expecting Isaiah Likely to kind of take that next step for a while now. You look at Denver, like Evan Ingram. If he stays healthy, I think he could be a guy that's a problem. But I'm gonna say real. I expect Brock to take a slight step back just because. No, I think Chip Kelly likes to spread the ball around a little bit, and obviously we're going to be a much improved run team. So I don't think he has like the crazy numbers he had this past year, but I expect him to be like around 1,000 yards, a little bit over. maybe like 1050, 1100 in that range, and maybe Michael Mayer to be around like the 550, 600 yard range. I think that would be enough to do it.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of competition out there.
Yeah. But,
like Baltimore is the only one where it'd be like, okay, Mark Andrews could be a number one tight end somewhere.
Yeah.
If not Baltimore. Isaiah Likely's the guy that they drafted.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the guy that kind of took over when Mark Andrews was like kind of hurt. So he's kind of emerged as that number one guy. Like now, I don't know. But I think they got two guys that can give you production, especially because, Lamar likes Mark Andrews. He got a lot of chemistry with him. So it's like, all right, I can see Baltimore being like the number one contender for that tight end duo receiving spot. So
yeah.
But Brock, man, like Chill Ray said, he says Brock gonna get you like 1,400 yards. Mayer gonna have like 500.
Yeah, I don't think Brock getting no 14, but if Brock gets 14, we probably have a losing season. To be real with you.
Why you say
that? Means you probably didn't run the ball well. And that means that probably our outside receivers and Trey Tucker and Dante Thornton were ineffective. Like last year. Like it would be like last year. Unless we have if Brock gets 14, it's one or two things. Either our offense like went crazy explosive and we had like top 5 offense in the league, or we had a losing season. Everybody sucked except Brock.
I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it. I'm looking at it from a perspective of like Brock is just that talented. He can do that.
Oh, he has the ability to do that.
I think he can do that. Because remember last season, I was like, man, like, because you said like this is probably the best that he's going to be able to do.
If you want to win.
No, because it was remember it was me, you, Mike. We were talking about like the season that Brock was having, and we're saying, can he? I don't know. I don't know how the conversation started, but we were talking about like can he outdo this season? Can he get? And I'm like, man, if he can do this with, Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, and the way he's getting it is like he's doing it with ease. It's like, and if you give him and you give him a creative offensive coordinator, it kind of makes you think like, man, like the sky's the limit. So I'm thinking like, okay, Chip Kelly is going to use him in a lot of different ways. And it's not like he's a slow tight end. Like he's a guy that like, he can beat athletic. Some corners. He could beat he obviously could beat safeties. He could beat like linebackers for sure, like without a doubt. You know what I mean? And he's a guy that you could obviously give him a short yard throw. He could break a tackle and get some yards that way, or he can beat you in the intermediate part of the football field too as well. Like, I just feel like Brock can beat you a lot of different ways. So that's why I'm like 1,400 yards.
Yeah.
And then you just think about the context of how he kind of was productive last year. I'm like, damn, like our quarterback play got him improved. If Chip Kelly seems like it might be an upgrade at an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
You give him a run game. So that means he's going to be wide open now, like because of play action possibly. Like he's going to get behind the defense, or he's going to have one extra second to get even more open or more separation. Because last year he did it without a run game. So like teams knew what was going to happen and he was still getting his. So I wouldn't say 1,400 yards is like out of the question.
I wouldn't say, like I said, I don't think it's out of question. I think Brock has more than enough talent and ability to get 1,400 yards. My point is that if he's getting 1,400 yards, like either we have one of the best offenses in the league, or our offense is trash, and we're just force feeding Brock because nobody else is doing anything. Like that's likely how it's going to go. We either have one of the best offenses. If your tight end is getting 1,400 yards, you either got one of the best offenses in the league, or y'all are so bad everywhere else but tight end that he's like, damn, bro, what, Brock, bro.
Well, that's kind of saying. But that's kind of saying that Brock is going to get his no matter what. That's basically saying
I think Brock. Yeah, like I said, I think Brock is going. He's going to get 1,000 yards. I think at least. No, almost no matter what. If you get into the 1,400 yard level, it means like we're not running the ball again. Like, it took us not running the ball last year for him to get what he got last year. So I obviously, if we're running the ball, if Genty is effective, then you don't want to be throwing to Brock as regularly, because that Brock was our only weapon. So it's like, yo, but if we ain't giving it to Brock or Jacoby, we ain't got nothing. So that's
maybe like him getting 100 catches might be hard to, might be different. His catches might go down, but I think there's a chance that his yards could go up, meaning that like he can get to that 1,400 because there's going to be a lot more explosive plays. Because if you add a run game, you know, play action is a lot more bigger plays, which means more yards. So
yeah, we'll
see, man. At the end of the day, we all know that Bark is gonna, he's gonna be a productive player at the end of the day. So, but hey, I think I'm gonna give him the edge, man. I'm gonna give him the edge. So I feel like it's gonna be real. We got people in the chat coming left and right. If you haven't already, make sure to clock in at this point. Clock out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I think we should be able to move the chain with players we have. Yeah, says, I hope Colton is not going to create drama. I hope not either. I hope, man, the Raiders need to figure it out, bro.
Facts.
They need to figure that situation out. Like, come on, bro. Like, if y'all knew that y'all needed a left tackle, that it should have been then Genty should not have been picked at number 6. Yeah. Straight up. Like, I don't care. Like, what are you doing? If you're not going to pay Colton Miller, what are you doing not drafting a left tackle at number 6? Or trading down and drafting left tackle? Prioritizing the trench. It would have made more sense. I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? Colton is not a guy that they are going to want to give a long-term deal to. It is what it is. But, he did show up to mandatory training camp, so we'll see. We'll see. Man, but we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in at this point, clock out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Severe, it's been real. Let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff.
You guys know what it is, man. The Severe Raider here on YouTube, IG, Snapchat, X, TikTok, all that good stuff. Shout out your boy. You catch me pretty much every week, 50-50 show. We'll be back around the Shield. I got the War Room coming up tomorrow. We didn't do it today. We end up doing it tomorrow. And if you haven't checked it out already, I did an interview with Dub Raider. Smooth interview, man. He came down to the boys' neck of the woods, man, and chopped it up with me, man. So it was smooth, man. So yeah, make sure you check that out. And make sure, as always, if you're on my channel, make sure you head over to my dog Pharaoh, hit that like and subscribe over there. Show him some love over there, man, and appreciate y'all tuning in.
Yeah, man, we appreciate everybody coming through. Clock out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Yeah, that was a dope interview, man. Check that out, man. That was like, it was real fly. The whole, the ambiance. Y'all was just chilling at, sports bar, hey, that's dope, man. I don't see that a lot with, a lot of Raider content creators or just content creators. I would say Raider content creators. I haven't seen that where they will do interview style content and then go to a different place and interview somebody. That's kind of dope. I like that idea, and it was a good interview as well too. Like, you kind of like broke down like the beginning and the end and the questions was good. It was on point. Good conversation. Hopefully we will have Dub Raider on soon too.
For sure, man. Yeah, I gotta holler at him, man. I gotta holler at him. He's a late night dude too, man. So he be in the chat sometimes. I'll be checking him out. So yeah, I'll see. Maybe this week.
Yeah, man. Hopefully, man, we'll make that happen soon. Yeah, man, we'll be back here next week on a 50-50 show. Obviously, around the Shield, we've kind of been. It's the off season right now, so we kind of been. I know, we usually do our weekly off season show on Thursday, a live show, but this week we'll try to make that happen for you. Stay tuned for that. Make sure to clock in if you haven't already, which means hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when we drop new content. Obviously, if we drop an episode around the Shield this week, you definitely don't want to miss that. So definitely hit that notification bell. And yeah, man, follow us all over social media. PharoahNFL on YouTube, Twitter, IG, and then obviously the Severe Raider as well, man, all over social media. Man, we appreciate the support, man. Severe, I'm already out of here right now, so you're gonna have to take it away.
Your camera tapped out, man. Yeah, appreciate everybody tuning in, man. If y'all enjoyed what y'all saw today, make sure y'all share with some Raider fans y'all think will get the same kind of enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, man. We out of here, man. We'll see y'all soon, man. Peace.
Just win, baby. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.